This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Whether you love true crime or comedy, celebrity interviews or news, you call the shots on what's in your podcast queue. And guess what? Now you can call them on your auto insurance too with the Name Your Price tool from Progressive. It works just the way it sounds. You tell Progressive how much you want to pay for car insurance, and they'll show you coverage options that fit your budget. Get your quote today at Progressive.com to join the over 28 million drivers who trust Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law.
You're working from home. You settle in with a cup of coffee, ready to get the day started. Before you look at that to-do list, turn on your favorite Odyssey sports station on your smart speaker. We'll keep you company and bring you the latest updates from your teams while you tackle your inbox or get ready for another meeting that probably could have been an email. Power through the workday with the entertaining sports coverage you love from the local voices you trust. Just ask your smart speaker to play your favorite station.
The best thing about the Seattle International Auto Show is everything. It's the best place to turn questions into answers. Compare the newest models from major manufacturers, gas power, hybrid, and EV, all under one roof. See them, touch them, drive them at the Seattle International Auto Show, presented by BECU. Live at Lumen Field Event Center, Thursday through Sunday, November 14th through 17th. Discover your drive. For tickets and info, visit SeattleAutoShow.com today. Hey, anyone know what channel the game's on? We know. Download the Sports on What app today and always know how to watch the game. Satellite, cable, or streaming. Sports on What knows the channel the game is on, and you can too. Subscribe today to start your 7-day free trial. Sports on What? We know.
And now, here's the question.
Hola, bitches. Good day to you and yours. All right, it is officially hurricane season, and currently, Tropical Storm Helene is gathering strength and looking to plow into Florida by tomorrow. In fact, the threat posed by Helene has resulted in the forced evacuations of 15 counties in Florida so far as a result of the predicted flooding. Meanwhile, in Cleves, Ohio, a small town outside of Cincinnati, residents and school students, they were asked to evacuate after a train carrying styrene started leaking out. Styrene, in case you're wondering, is a highly toxic and flammable chemical that can lead to all kinds of health issues, including organ damage. And anyone within half a mile of the leak is asked to leave. And a high school in Oklahoma was evacuated after a student brought a radioactive rock to school. Now, where does one get a radioactive rock? I have no idea, but the kid had one. Other students handled it, and then the school was cleared. Scary stuff. But imagine being at a zoo in Kansas and being asked to leave because, well, a Syrian brown bear was attempting to escape and possibly eat you. That was the case a few months ago at the Ralph Mitchell Zoo. Now, the issue was resolved within 10 minutes, but still. Now, we're not sure how long the zoo in Paris was evacuated, but it was evacuated after 12 freaking baboons escaped. Baboons. Now, there's a million different reasons authorities might call for an evacuation. Hurricanes, chemical leaks, radioactive rocks, bears, baboons, smoke from exploding vapes on an EasyJet flight, explosive diarrhea on a Delta flight, fire at a Walmart, and more interestingly, a defective pellet gun at a different Walmart. And on it goes. There's a million different reasons, and chances are, if you've been anywhere in the course of your life, there's a moment where they're like, hey, yeah, we're going to have to ask you to leave because some S is going down. And that's what today's question is. We simply want to know, where were you when you were told it's time to go or be evacuated?
To be a part of the big show, call 206-803-ROCK. Like the Men's Room on Facebook, follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Men's Room Live, and send your emails to the Men's Room at KISW.com.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Whether you love true crime or comedy, celebrity interviews or news, you call the shots on what's in your podcast queue. And guess what? Now you can call them on your auto insurance too with the Name Your Price tool from Progressive. It works just the way it sounds. You tell Progressive how much you want to pay for car insurance, and they'll show you coverage options that fit your budget. Get your quote today at Progressive.com to join the over 28 million drivers who trust Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law.
You're working from home. You settle in with a cup of coffee, ready to get the day started. Before you look at that to-do list, turn on your favorite Odyssey sports station on your smart speaker. We'll keep you company and bring you the latest updates from your teams while you tackle your inbox or get ready for another meeting that probably could have been an email. power through the workday with the entertaining sports coverage you love from the local voices you trust. Just ask your smart speaker to play your favorite station.
The debauchery rolls on. You're listening to The Men's Room with Miles and Thrill. 99.9 KISW.
Oh, Patrols, away we go. Welcome to season 19, episode number 4187. What a large and in charge program we have for you today. Guaranteed future repeat. Exciting return of Who Sucks Less. Stephen Throwhill, I don't know how you do it. You find people doing bad things in the news. You bring us 3 stories each and every week. It is up to us to determine, out of the 3 stories, which one sucks the least. How are we looking today on Who Sucks Less?
Honestly, it's not the worst, but like anything, you're not dealing with the best people out there. There are people that just make fantasy football not fun. I know people get stressed out, sometimes dial it back. Other times, I know no neighborhood wants drug dealing, and that's why they have police out there. Just make sure they're dealing drugs, perhaps, and some inappropriate comments at a Virginia elementary school.
Oh, okay.
But not the inappropriate you would think. It takes a strange turn.
Who Sucks Less is coming up. Also, we'll have some updated locations on the Men's Room IPA from Black Raven Brewing. Send those pictures. Keep them coming in. Let us know where you find the beer. As we found out yesterday, the Men's Room IPA from Black Raven Brewing is now in over 1,300 locations in the area.
Oh, nice.
Both in the bright yellow can and on tap. Continue to take pictures if you find it. Send us an email to the men's room at KISW.com. That way we can expand on the list, the partial list that we have at KISW.com and get that thing updated. So we appreciate you guys doing that. Also, another programming note. Tonight, the live 2-hour special I'm Listening starts at 7. That helps to spread awareness about the mental health and the message that talk does save lives. This is the 8th year that I'm Listening is airing on every single Odyssey radio station in the country. You can listen here at 99.9. Listen to KISW.com, the Odyssey app, all those places. Dolly Parton's going to be on the program. / Katy Perry and more. It is hosted by Carson Daly. More importantly, it is executive produced by our own Veggie Dog, who is in New York. He works on this.
It's a lot of hard work on that, man.
He does, man, and it is it's a great program. It's okay to not be okay, and they talk about that, and they talk about different challenges that everyone faces, and it's it's a 2-hour special tonight at 7. So hopefully you'll be able to check that out. All right, on to the question. Where were you when you were told it was time to go or be evacuated? As Helene has rapidly intensified into a hurricane today, it is plowing toward Florida as the strongest hurricane to hit the U.S. in over a year. Now, the storm will also grow into a massive, they say, sprawling monster as it continues to intensify. One that won't just slam Florida, but much of the southeast, I guess they're saying.
Well, yeah, the way this thing came together. So I want to say a couple of days ago, they had their eye on probably 9 different, not quite tropical storms, but not small storms, all in the Gulf, and then they all kind of converge like Voltron to make this big, nasty bullfight.
And this thing kind of developed very quickly, so time is running out for those in the U.S. to prepare. Thousands of Florida residents have already been forced to evacuate, and nearly the entire state is under tropical alerts as the storm threatens to unleash flooding, rainfall, damaging wind, and life-threatening storm surges. This hurricane is basically right now in a bullseye kind of between my father's home and my uncle's home. So I'm not sure. My dad might have already evacuated.
Is he the type that will actually evacuate?
He does. They drive,
good.
but it's not going to be any better. I mean, again, you can drive north into Georgia. It's supposed to slam into Georgia.
Right, you're going to cross Georgia, too.
I mean, you could go west into Alabama. It's probably going to hit a portion of Alabama. Maybe if you're as west as Mississippi, Biloxi, you could have a break, but other than that, now it's South Carolina, now North Carolina.
It's weird to me how this works, though, right? So I have a friend who lives in Tampa, and I texted her earlier, said, man, are you like in the bullseye at this thing? She goes, yeah, I am, but where our house is located, Florida has an elevation of like 12 feet. I guess they're 12 feet high. So she's like, we're not really in the flood zone, but still lose power and all this. What's crazy to me, though, is you're telling people to evacuate, right? Like, hey, man, get out of Dodge. This is that bad. This is our prediction. She was in Vail, Colorado skiing, I presume. So she texts me and says, well, I'm currently at the Denver airport, and we're flying into Tampa. And I'm like, it's so weird to me. Like, they're telling you to leave, but you can still book a commercial flight into the epicenter. It just seems like if you're telling people to evacuate, and I understand, flights already suck, I get it, but sometimes like, hey, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the airline, pilots, and common sense, they're telling people to leave this area. We know that's where you're trying to go, but it just seems like maybe we don't go there.
See,
tonight.
I would.
Is it going to make landfall tonight?
It's supposed to hit, I believe, maybe early morning Florida time tonight, I believe.
See, being in Denver, I would say, look, because you can get a direct flight out of Vegas. So I'd say, look, let's go to Vegas for a couple days. Just chill out there, see what happens, see when we can get back. Because
she's not going back to work.
Yeah,
right?
you can get a direct flight from Tampa to Vegas. You can get a direct flight from almost anywhere into Las Vegas. So once you get to Vegas, you just wait, do your time, and see what happens. Now, as that area kind of becomes numb to the hurricane world that they live in, because I know that my dad has probably evacuated at least 2 or 3 times in the last 5 years. But this storm, this hurricane, it's going to be the 4th to make landfall in the U.S. this year. And the 5th storm to slam into Florida since 2022. But this storm will be different than Hurricane Idalia and other recent storms to strike the state. It is forecast to grow into one of the largest storms in the Gulf of Mexico over the last century. So this thing is a monster. That means more storm surges, more widespread impacts, even with the center of the storm well away from the coast.
Oh, update, throw. Tampa Airport just suspended operations.
Did they?
Yeah.
Man, she's going to be in a great mood. You know what? I'm going to
tell her to go to Vegas.
Well, I know, but it's just the thing. Like man, if you're telling people to evacuate, doesn't it like a horrible idea? Well, we're going to take 300 passengers and drop you right in a place that you're going to have to leave as soon as you get there.
Now, the Big Bend area faces the most serious storm surge. Up to 15 feet is possible. Up to 8 feet could inundate Tampa. The threatening high water records in the area. Much of South Florida could get 5 feet. If you've been there, you have to understand what 15 feet is. It is the tallest mountain in Florida.
Right, so Florida is different, man. It is flat.
So as far as, and not only that, but as far as just the water table and how the water comes up through the drains. It's when you're talking about a surge, you think it's just this big wave coming in, you get 15 feet of water.
It's coming out of the ground.
It's actually coming up beneath you. And that's
like both.
And that's correct. And that's, well,
that's why they stopped insuring all those houses in that part of the country. It's not like, well, we're not insuring this. You're literally sinking and you're staying there. Now, this is my thing, okay? And I believe this for years. There are things that people universally agree on. And like an ugly name. There are just some names that nobody thinks is beautiful. And I'm sorry, if your name's Bertha, no one thinks your name's beautiful. We just don't. If your name is Agatha, no one thinks your name is beautiful. When we were going through the baby naming book all those years ago, I saw the name Thorberta for a woman.
Right.
And I'm like, Jesus Christ. So with hurricanes, when you live in a hurricane area, you're a lot less likely to evacuate because, hey, man, I've been through it before. I feel like if the S is going to hit the fan, you change the name, all right?
Yep.
So currently it's Hurricane Helene. And people go, I may or may not evacuate. This has been my home. Okay, it's turned into Hurricane Boris. Mm-hmm. At this point, you understand that we're saying the damage is going to be as ugly as the name.
Yep.
Right? It's just that simple. What's a tough name? Like somebody said Duke's looking for you. You probably don't want to deal with a guy named Duke. Call it Hurricane Duke.
Yeah.
Sorry, call it like
T-Bone.
Yeah, Hurricane T-Bone. Like you're sending the message because category doesn't seem to matter to people, but you go, look, we changed the name to a name that everyone's scared of.
Right.
Or hell, this got changed to a black name. It's Hurricane Jamal now, bitch. Time to go. I bet you people would scramble. I'm getting out of here. Oh, my God. It went from Timmy to Jamal.
Yeah.
That's just hitting the fan. Now I'm scared.
I was going to say the best one, just be like, Omar coming.
Yeah, there you go. Hurricane Omar.
Leon.
Hurricane Leon. Coming your way, man.
Like Leon Musk.
Yeah. Leon, my buddy Leon. And I'm just like, okay, Leon Musk. Leon has been reduced to Pete.
I'm Leon Musk. That is right. Leon. This is the Tesla.
The new Tesla F7. Take a test drive.
In a strange way, a hurricane indirectly made me have to evacuate my home. Not because of the hurricane. Dealt with a couple of them. Had massive flooding in the basement and everything else. At that point in time, I had decided that I was going to refurbish half of my basement. So I had a little bedroom down there. I put it in a bathroom. I put it in a laundry area. And then the other side I was going to do later kind of as a great room, probably similar to your basement. It's big enough where you can do it in stages. So I had carpeted half of the
you
of the
idiot! I'm sorry, man. Damn, I'm already irritated with
I put a bedroom in, and of course, when Hurricane Floyd hit, all of that flooded. I had just got that done.
See, Floyd doesn't scare anybody.
I drywalled.
Floyd doesn't.
I had done all this stuff, and I had to basically get down there. And I don't know if you've ever picked up wet carpet before, man, but it is heavy. It is itchy.
Gross.
It is. It's hard to just even get your hands on it. But I had to haul all of that out. So
Gross is a good word, too. It is disgusting.
yeah, it's
Even
terrible.
though it's carpet, and now it's just wet, somehow in your mind, it is a different thing.
But it had been sitting in basically in my mind what seemed to be brackish water because of the water table and everything else. Anyway, so I get all that up, and then I get the padding up, and that's a pain in the ass too, and basically have to re-drywall again because the water came up about a foot, so all the drywalls. So I'd take out half of the drywall and redo the bottom and all that stuff. And then I had a flooring guy come over, and the more he was talking to me, he's like, look, man, he's like, why don't you basically do what you did to your basement, which is seal it, to have that clear coat. It looks like, some restaurants have just basic concrete and it's clear coated polyurethane, whatever.
That is what the wife and I did downstairs.
I had a 5-gallon bucket of polyurethane that the previous owner had left at the home.
Okay.
So it was in the shed. I'm like, I've got polyurethane. I can do this. So I get down in the basement. I get a roller and everything, and I'm ready to go, and I'm going to knock this bad boy out. And I basically cut around the entire perimeter. I had 2 windows down there, but both of them I had put in cinder block, glass block. As in the old shower kind of deal. Like you'd see
like the stuff you can't really see through?
Yes.
And that way, basically, that was kind of part.
So it wouldn't flood, right?
It would not flood, but it was also somewhat of obviously a fire hazard as far as trying to get out of there.
Was that a legal thing, or did you just do
You could do it. I did have a little vent in the middle of those windows.
I guess what I'm asking
They were
is,
well windows. They were, like the kind that.
well, friends of mine, they want to get some windows redone in their home. Now, they bought their home, the way their home is, and there's nothing wrong with their home. But as I did the estimate for the windows, and this is why I'm asking, their basement windows, same thing, window wells, but I want to say the windows are like 2x1, maybe 3x2 or so. They're too small for the average human to escape in case of a fire.
Right.
So
I could not really ventilate this area. So I'm about 15 minutes in, and I'm rolling. Things are going okay. And then I start getting really lightheaded and really dizzy. And I'm getting to the point where I'm almost going to fall over. And I realize the fumes are consuming me. Like I am screwed, but I don't even realize it because as soon as that initial sting to the smell kicked in, I really did not smell it that much anymore.
it's kind of like the smell for a second.
It wasn't, but
then you get used to it. So you're just breathing it in now.
It did not seem overpowering, but it was killing me. And I did not realize this. So I stumbled up the steps, and I go outside to get fresh air. And I'm like, oh, God. And then when I'm upstairs, I realize the fumes have completely permeated the home. So I open up all the windows. I'm trying to get this out. And the more the wind comes in and the air, the stronger the smell gets. I spent 4 days in a hotel room just waiting for my house to air out. And I didn't even get close to finishing this.
Did you have to keep going back to your house each day to basically get a whiff, see where you're
to
at?
To walk in to see, can we, I mean, I have 2 young
not
kids.
Not die in our sleep.
Did you not know it was like toxic?
I did not. It was
you don't
older,
think about it.
It was
you just don't think
older
about it.
polyurethane, but I mean.
Polyurethane, though, I don't know. It just sounds toxic.
It is.
I mean, no offense,
Yes.
Miles, but I guess full offense. But that's why I started giggling when you were like, "Oh, I can do this.
I can do this."
I'm like, something's going to go wrong.
No mask, Ted, no nothing.
Oh, just yeah.
I'm just gonna, but I never worked with polyurethane before, other than I'd stained and shellacked a fence outside.
I was saying, but you're outside.
But then,
Right.
yeah, a picnic table or some crap. A park we redid, but other than that, I never really used it that much. So I had no idea just how bad those fumes were. So yeah. I spent 4 nights in a hotel in Glen Burnie, Maryland, which was not the nicest hotel in the world.
If you've ever been to Glen Burnie, Maryland, and you haven't, there is no nice hotel.
No, there really isn't.
I mean,
the area.
It's impossible.
Yeah, and I tried to get a hotel room in Annapolis, but they had some military thing going on. So
You ain't getting in there.
Every hotel room was booked for the academy, so I couldn't stay down there. Finally found a hotel room in Glen Burnie, and I mean, you want to talk about a pissed off wife, because I have 2 very. I mean, like I had to kind of pull my shirt over my face to run into the house to pull out diapers, wipes, pack a baby bag, pack clothes,
right.
pack all these things, bottles, nipples, everything. You name it, a baby needs 25 bags.
His wife had interchangeable nipples.
Interchangeable. I'm like,
Yeah.
grab nipples.
Depending on what kind of mood Miles is going to be.
Pacifier?
Right. And these are crib babies, right?
Yeah.
So you can't just put them in a bed because, the next thing you know, they took a 2-footer off in the middle of the night.
Or you rolled on top of them and smothered their ass.
Right. So that was impossible. So just based on the fact that I tried to redo the basement so it would never need carpet again. Almost killed myself. And I evacuated us out of our house for 4 different nights.
Actually, my wife and I did this. It wasn't a hurricane, but the kids, and I've said this before, but they knocked the hose out of the washer, which then flooded the basement. And there was original carpet in the house at that time. We never liked that carpet. But like anything, it's hard to convince yourself on a weekend, like, let me go tear up carpet in the basement. Yeah. But after all the water rushes down, you're like, oh, F yeah. But anyway, we went to Home Depot, said what the situation was, what our plan was, because luckily we had a solid cement floor down there. And my first thought was polyurethane, but even the guy at Home Depot was like, you worked with polyurethane before? And much like you, I'm like, bro, I've stained some stuff. He's like, you're doing indoors. I'm like, well, of course. We had ventilation and all that. And he was very cordial. He's just kind of nodding, and he goes, I would recommend a mask, all this stuff. And I'm like, okay, what else do you have? Not because I'm worried about the fumes, but because I'm lazy. And I don't want to spend more money on additional crap you need to just do something. So basically, we got the equivalent of like floor paint that you'd put in your garage.
Okay.
So it's not like chemical free, but there weren't any real fumes or anything. But that was the guy's thing. He's like, bro, I hear you. I can also tell you're stupid and don't do much of this stuff. So he's like, let me show you all this other crap you should buy for your own safety. And that price starts adding up, man. So that's what I'm like,
I felt,
what else you got?
When I stepped outside, I felt like I had done like 20 whippets in a row.
Yeah.
I could not explain, like when I sat down, how just buzzed I was. I mean, and this is I smoked weed all the time back then. I know a buzz, but I was.
It's different.
I was zipping, man. I was like, whoa. Whoa. We had to, man. Like, even turning my head was like a slow motion thing. I'm like, oh, I am messed up.
I was like, we had to, bomb our house once for fleas?
Yep.
Right? And like,
turn off the pilot
I've
light.
evacuated my house for a bombing as well.
Right. So, like, 2 things. Like, number one, like, we had to leave for like 2 nights, right? But I'm like 10 or 12. So going to like a Holiday Inn.
It's awesome.
Party time. There's a vending machine.
Right. Not a big deal. Like, we loved it. But I remember like a week later, a flea jumped on my dad. Right? It was like, what was the,
Right. Sure.
This and that. But I mean, and also as a kid, I just thought it was awesome. Like, all right, we're going to set it off and then run out of the house.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Where were you when you were told it was time to go or be evacuated? 206-803-ROCK.
99.9 KISW. The shenanigans continue. This is the Men's Room with Miles and Thrill.
Our question, where were you when you were told it was time to go or be evacuated? 206-803-ROCK.
Hello, Mickey. Welcome to the Men's Room.
Hello, gentlemen.
Hola.
How are you all doing today?
We're doing good.
Good. I have been listening for the last better part of a few years now, and I always enjoy the team.
Oh, thank you so much.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
So two different things. We were in Europe in Italy, stationed there when 9/11 happened, and then in 2011, I was working federal employee. Went to Japan for work. And was going to stay there 6 months, and that was interrupted by the big earthquake. We have a group of people that, fairly small base, but group of people that were assigned to work on a barge, the 3-story floating office building. And whenever because Yokosuka Bay is where the whole base is, and whenever the tugs were in the bay, the water would be displaced and the barge would bump gently against the pilings. And so we were used to that motion of the barge. And this was just really different. We weren't quite sure what to think of it. And all of a sudden, somebody comes running down our hallway screaming, get off the barge, because we had experienced a lot less movement on the water than people did on the land. We looked out the windows of the barge, and there's light posts in front of the building that's across from the pier where we were moored, and they're swinging 20 feet in either direction.
So where were you supposed to go?
Yeah, I'm saying
you're on the barge.
It sounds worse if you got on land.
Right, you're on the barge, and they tell you to get off the boat. Where do you go based on what you're seeing on the land?
That's the funny part. They said we need to go down the pier up to a building that's maybe 30 feet above the water. we didn't really have anywhere to go. But the interesting part is that the Yokosuka Bay is formulated by land that kind of juts out into the ocean, and the base is kind of tucked into that bay area. And so when they were expecting a huge tsunami, obviously, and the water came from the north, and the land stopped the water from overtaking us. So one of our coworkers was standing next to the barge on the pier, or actually on land, and she said that the barge kind of rose about 5 feet, and then it went back down. And that was it. There wasn't anything close to what my husband was seeing back home on CNN, which everything was being wiped out and people were losing their lives and there's cars in the ocean. And poor guy was kind of panicked, and I hadn't called him in quite some days. And this happened on my son's birthday, March 11th. And so I had time to shoot off an email to him, telling him everything is okay, don't worry. He waited 2 days to tell his father, and I was a little mad at him for that.
How old was your kid that you sent the email to?
Let's see. He was, oh gosh.
Old enough to be able to have an email.
Oh, yeah.
Right, but if I have to get a message to my wife, look, I got 2 kids to pick from, and like if I urgently need to reach my wife, I defer to my son on that. Like just knowing my daughter would be the type like, oh, Mom, what are you excited about? You told me 2 days ago that he's alive and well, and she would freak out.
Yeah. It's like we've got the international dateline problem as well. So yeah, he was a little bit upset, but he said and the other part of it is that when they evacuated us from Yokosuka, we had to board a ship. And so we were all, 400 of us were all together riding this ship away from what we thought was danger at the time.
How long did it take to evacuate 400 people off of the barge?
Oh, my God. We started, the notification came on the 12th that those of us who had a ticket that was dated X couldn't go home. We had to ride the boat, and that took about 4 and a half days to get everyone, and then board the boat to leave the pier. And I ended up very, very seasick. It was very.
That sounds awful.
Okay, so after all that happens, though, right? So you're on a boat or wherever you are after the earthquake was hit, tsunami, all of this stuff. Do you guys assist in any of the rescue or cleanup on what's going on in Japan, or are you still just left to your own devices?
Absolutely not. That was the Japanese government and some of the military that were stationed in the area at the time were involved in some of the rescue efforts.
But you could see the devastation yourself. I mean, visibly with your own eyes, could you see how bad it actually was on the mainland?
No.
Okay.
No, we were too far south, but they were worried about everything coming south.
Well, as far as the Pacific Rim goes, we're due. I mean, that's just on the west side of the Ring of Fire. I mean, we're on the biggest fault. I think about that all the time when you're just driving down the coast of Washington or you're driving down the coast of Oregon. Yes, there are tsunami route evacuation signs. Of course, you know where to go. Mm-hmm. But, I mean, look.
Yep. And my car is completely prepared for any given emergency because I know exactly what it looks like. But the Japanese people are so awesome. When everything was shut down and they had no power, owners and little grocery stores in neighborhoods, you'd see people outside in a line, and there might be 30, 40 people in a line, and each of them is coming out with one bag of groceries because they are respectful of their neighbors to know that everybody's going to need food, and you don't need that much food for that long.
Yeah.
And so they're very respectful. It was an awesome thing to see. And I often wonder what exactly is going to happen if I'm alive, that this happens in our general area.
Oh, we'll go to Costco and buy everything off the shelf.
We buy 800 rolls of toilet paper because you're going to have no power for 3 hours.
Paper towel strapped to the roof.
Right. I mean, come on.
Or you do what we did, and we had we'd build a fire pit. We'd have a wood stove in our house, and we have a garage full of stuff. Fortunately, nobody knows where I live, so it's okay. But we weren't affected by any of the stuff that was going on during the pandemic because we had it all.
Well, what about, you said you're in Europe when 9/11 happens. So, I mean, are you evacuated to somewhere because you're a U.S. citizen? Or, I mean, because clearly
you're kind of stuck, aren't you?
I mean, what's the protocol at that point?
No, we had to stay put, and my husband was part of the military police force, so he was getting phone calls day and night. Then they were just extremely vigilant about everything, and we had car searches and you name it.
Sure.
But I was on the phone. I was on the phone with someone that morning because, or that afternoon. Sorry, because it was 3:00 in the afternoon in Italy. And my friend on the phone says, "Do you have your TV on?" I said, "Mm-hmm." She said, "Do you have sound on?" I said, "No." She goes, "Turn it up. I think you're going to be a little shocked at what's going on." And I'm looking at this, kind of talking to her, not knowing what I'm seeing, and thinking it's a movie or something, like a lot of people said. So I turned the sound up, and my jaw dropped, and I went, "Oh my God!"
Well, Mickey, here's something you don't know since you're in Italy. All right, so we were on the East Coast when this happened, between New York City and D.C., where most of the action went down. There are military vehicles on the road, stealth bombers flying overhead, people freaking out because we don't know what's going on. Now, we work in radio. One of the most important things that we do, the core of our job, in spite of what you might think of the show, is to bring you information as it is needed and alert people to an emergency. Yeah, we still didn't play the EAS.
No.
So for the life of us, we're like, why do we what needs to happen that we actually fire an EAS test?
I had the manual.
The country being under attack does not qualify.
I had the manual out on the board just to make sure that I was right about what I was doing because I'd never hit that button before. So I just wanted to make sure.
Gosh.
I just wanted to make
we
sure.
never hit it. It didn't matter.
And there's a plane just hit the Pentagon.
Right.
A plane hit the Pentagon.
There are stealth bombers flying over your house, but we're not going to tell you why.
We're not done yet because they got another one that looks like it's headed to Washington, D.C.
Right.
Yeah. Now, that one went down in Pennsylvania, but that was the next. Look, it's going to happen again.
Right.
Here you go. So we're all just kind of hovering over the button like.
No one had to push it.
Nothing.
Just that.
So here was the thing that happened here at home. My husband, not 9/11, but the other one, my husband was going to come to Japan. He was going to board a plane and come to Japan to find me because he hadn't heard from me for so long. And
see, I would have told my wife that too.
Like, hey, man, yeah, I'm really going to try to get there.
That's exactly what I would have told my wife. Baby, I was just about to board a plane and come looking for you.
Well, there would have been no way to get to me because the roads were impassable because they'd all buckled. And the only people that were going to and from easily were people that were either in the air or on the water. So as sweet as that must have felt to him, he would have been stuck at the airport.
He couldn't have got in
not have left in there.
Trust me, he knew that. He was kidding you. It was a movie like with The Rock or something, was it? San Andreas, all right? So big, massive earthquake, all right? And there's the big tsunamis and all the stuff, and Rock's doing Rock things to survive it. But if I remember this correctly, the reason he was still in the situation, he was going back to look for someone. You know, hey, man, I got to find someone.
That's why he's in the helicopter?
Yeah, and the boat that goes up. And I'm thinking, man, I love my family, but there's a point where it's like, man, I think they're gone. You know, I'm just looking at what he did in the movie like, I don't know, man, you know.
Where were you when you were told it was time to go or be evacuated? 206-803-ROCK.
Hello, Greg. Welcome to the men's room.
Hola, bitches.
Hola, Greg.
How are you guys doing today?
We're good, man.
Long-time listener, first-time caller.
Appreciate it, man. Thank you.
So here's my story. I was over at my ex-girlfriend's mom's house with her when we were told we had to leave by the King County SWAT team.
Why did the King County SWAT team show up?
They were looking for my ex-girlfriend's brother at the time.
So why would you have to leave? I mean, if they're looking for him, why do you need to leave the residence? So they can search the residence?
Yes, exactly. Apparently, here's the story. He had been passing some counterfeit money, and I guess he had went up to one of the local pizza places and got a pizza, used this counterfeit money. They found out about it, called the cops. Yeah, I guess he had actually had to use his address or whatever. So They came barging in the door the next day with flashbang grenades going off through the windows and everything. And, yeah, I woke up. I was asleep on the couch. This was like 4:30 in the morning. I was asleep on the couch, and I basically woke up to a sheriff pointing an M16 at me, going, you need to get up. Yeah.
That's frightening.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the funny thing was, here's the funny thing is after I figured out it was just the cops and they weren't looking for me, I actually laid back down while they kind of did their thing. They were like, what's up with him? It's like, man, he's been working all week long. He's tired. It's 4:30 on a Saturday morning.
I kind of get where you're coming from. Like, you're not here for me, man. If it's all the same, I'm just going to chill.
I'm impressed he slept through the breach. And
was this particular was her brother known to be super violent? It just seems like if I'm passing counterfeit bills, I don't know if that requires flashbang grenades and all that kind of thing as a response.
He wasn't necessarily super violent, but he was super known by the cops at the time. And they were like, they didn't like messing with him. They wanted his butt off the street, I think.
Okay.
All right.
That might be the most entertaining way I've heard that story told.
I know. I was just thinking to myself, I need to try weed.
Yeah.
Where were you when you were told it was time to go or be evacuated? 206-803-ROCK.
I don't think that guy's ever smoked.
No. Somebody here asked on the text line, rating from 0 to giraffe vagina, how high is this guy on the phone? Hello, Tim. Welcome to the men's room.
Hey, guys. How's it going?
Hola.
So, a few years back, boat-in-only campgrounds in Lake Chelan. My two boys, my wife, were asleep in the boat about 11:30, the only other boat in the campground. Wakes us up, people, there's a fire. Had enough experience Eastern Washington see fires, but I opened the hatch of the boat. The whole campground was on fire.
Oh, God.
And I looked at the people, they're fully clothed, dock lines in hand. Looked at the young man and said, you didn't get started by a rattlesnake. Do you see what you're doing to Mother Nature right now? Because we figured that that's what he was up to, is he was up there burning, and he caught the whole thing on fire.
For God's sake.
$27 million, and it took one match.
Yeah.
What is the punishment? So 20, like, look,
there was a guy in Oregon who burned 27,000 acres.
Right, but I'm saying $27 million. You go like, look, God, I understand I'm in trouble. There's no way I can pay that back. So
the folks, I believe, lost their business, and it was quite bad.
How far north? Yeah. How far north up Lake Chelan is that area?
That's not too far. That's about 25-mile creek area, because there was a 30-mile-an-hour gust coming down lake at that time of night, carrying the fire, making it jump. Our boat's designed to take large waves. We tucked into 25-mile creek state park, and they said in a low-profile boat, we were going to go up to Stehekin tomorrow anyway, and they were taking waves over the bow of their boat. And the next morning, when the sheriffs showed up to interview us, their boat came into the dock there. They never made it. And I said, we got to cease this conversation right now, because the people that started the fire are right over there.
There was a fire that hit North Lake Chelan this year. Early on in the season. Yeah. So I was just curious where this thing was in proximity and everything. And, there's Manson to the east and there's other areas up there. But I was just curious, where this thing was. Like, is it going to hit downtown Lake Chelan? So I look at the lake, man, and I just never realized how freaking huge that thing is.
Yeah,
massive.
It's a big-ass lake.
The fire was pretty far north, but I'm telling you, it was like 25 miles, like 30 miles north of that area. And I'm like, that lake is absolutely massive.
It is.
But I don't know how inhabited that area was, but they were evacuating the area with maybe cabins up there.
The fires are scary. Like last year when we were driving to Montana, right? We were driving up on a Friday night, and I guess a little past Cle Elum, we kind of noticed the smoke. And then was going to say, like, we got up there. I've never seen 90 just close like that. And we had to go down through Cheney, right? Or Cheney?
I think that sounds right.
Right? And then, because we were trying to get to Spokane for the night. But, I mean, that fire, it jumped so fast, it was wild. Then the next day we get up and we drive over to Montana, and same thing, like, anybody that's been to, like, that part of the country knows St. Regis, like this kind of famous left.
Yeah.
Get your milkshakes there. But, like, as we make the left, the smoke is like, it's like, oh, we're close. And literally, like, half hour later, it jumped that road. They had to close it, this and that.
God,
like,
man.
It is frightening. And then, yeah, when we came back to see the destruction, like, I don't know. It's just different than, like, other natural disasters.
That's why when you go to Roswell, as old as that town is, I still can't believe it's there. Just based on the fact
fires
you would think, I mean, if you get on that Suncadia side of the ridge over 90, the wind is constantly blowing. So if there is a fire, I mean, it's going to spread fast. The idea that town still exists, the idea that, Cle Elum still exists, any of that stuff is mind-blowing to me, because you look at, in Roswell, they have an old-time fire department. Now it's updated. It's updated near the high school. But at the time, they still have the old engines, and I'm like, how is this place still here? I mean,
I don't know. And somebody on the text line says it wasn't me, but my mother and her husband, they were living in Magalia, California, basically a suburb of Paradise, California, where the campfire there about 3 years ago, they barely made it out alive, and their house was turned into a foundation only. I think I remember that. There's a lot of videos. I think the most terrifying videos, man, people that they're driving down the road to get away from the quote-unquote encroaching fire, and both sides of the road are on fire, but the embers are falling on the windshield. You can hear them screaming about melting tires. I'm just like, dude, that is not a situation I ever want to be in. Ever.
Yeah.
And someone here is tornado. When I was a kid, I was out visiting my family in Indiana. Well, at my grandma's house, the tornado sirens go off. So we jump in the car. We sprint back to my aunt and uncle's house a couple of towns over. We rush into the house. And there's my uncle sitting in his chair watching, oddly enough, Twister the movie, completely unaware of the situation outside.
Jesus.
Come on.
Where were you when you were told it was time to go or be evacuated? 206-803-ROCK.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Whether you love true crime or comedy, celebrity interviews or news, you call the shots on what's in your podcast queue. And guess what? Now you can call them on your auto insurance too, with the Name Your Price tool from Progressive. It works just the way it sounds. You tell Progressive how much you want to pay for car insurance, and they'll show you coverage options that fit your budget. Get your quote today at Progressive.com to join the over 28 million drivers who trust Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law.
You're working from home. You settle in with a cup of coffee, ready to get the day started. Before you look at that to-do list, turn on your favorite Odyssey sports station on your smart speaker. We'll keep you company and bring you the latest updates from your teams while you tackle your inbox or get ready for another meeting that probably could have been an email. Power through the workday with the entertaining sports coverage you love from the local voices you trust. Just ask your smart speaker to play your favorite station.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Whether you love true crime or comedy, celebrity interviews or news, you call the shots on what's in your podcast queue. And guess what? Now you can call them on your auto insurance too, with the Name Your Price tool from Progressive. It works just the way it sounds. You tell Progressive how much you want to pay for car insurance, and they'll show you coverage options that fit your budget. Get your quote today at Progressive.com to join the over 28 million drivers who trust Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law. This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Whether you love true crime or comedy, celebrity interviews or news, you call the shots on what's in your podcast queue. And guess what? Now you can call them on your auto insurance too, with the Name Your Price tool from Progressive. It works just the way it sounds. You tell Progressive how much you want to pay for car insurance, and they'll show you coverage options that fit your budget. Get your quote today at Progressive.com to join the over 28 million drivers who trust Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law.
You're working from home. You settle in with a cup of coffee, ready to get the day started. Before you look at that to-do list, turn on your favorite Odyssey sports station on your smart speaker. We'll keep you company and bring you the latest updates from your teams while you tackle your inbox or get ready for another meeting that probably could have been an email. Power through the workday with the entertaining sports coverage you love from the local voices you trust. Just ask your smart speaker to play your favorite station.
Are you looking for the powerful roar of a work truck, the quiet performance of an EV, or the creature comforts of a hybrid SUV? Whatever you need, the best place to see them, touch them, and drive them is at the Seattle International Auto Show, presented by BECU. Test drives, demonstrations, and information all under one roof. Live at Lumen Field Event Center, Thursday through Sunday, November 14 through 17. Discover your drive. For tickets and info, visit SeattleAutoShow.com today.
Hey, anyone know what channel the game's on?
We know. Download the Sports on What app today and always know how to watch the game. Satellite, cable, or streaming. Sports on What knows the channel the game is on, and you can too. Subscribe today to start your 7-day free trial. Sports on What? We know.
99.9 KISW. We return to the men's room with Miles and Thrill.
Just got off the phone there over the break with my dad. Down in Florida, he is north of Tampa.
Did you wish him a happy birthday?
I actually called him on his birthday.
Okay.
Yes. Good news. So they got the all call to get out of there in his area of Hudson at 7 a.m. this morning.
Ooh, I wouldn't have gotten that.
They basically have evacuated that entire town. So I talked to him, and I said, how are you doing? He said, good. And I said, did you evacuate? He said, oh, hell no. And I said, well, what's it like there? And he said, well, it's really windy, and it's raining. And I said, okay. But don't worry, he's safe. He lives in a trailer park right across the street from the Gulf of Mexico.
Yay! Oh, he'll be fine. Did you ask him, like, hey, did you give this a lot of thought, or is he just like, yeah?
He's got one of those roofs that look like you turn it with a tin, little
sardines or something.
Is he like in a
can right off? Yeah.
Is he like in a mobile home or like what do you call those? The manufactured houses that you put together? What's he in?
It is on cinder blocks.
Okay,
so it's
not
like a trailer.
It's not on wheels. Yes, but it's a trailer.
It's hurricane fodder. Either way, that's basically what I'm hearing right now.
Right. I mean, these things, you can pick them right up off the cinder blocks depending on the...
Jesus, man. What is he doing, Miles? I just looked up where Hudson is.
Yes, that's what I'm telling you. He is right in the...
That is his point. Like, you were across the street.
They told us to evacuate at 7 o'clock this morning. What are you doing? I could tell you had friends over. He was drinking.
It's almost 6:30 there now.
But that's kind of like... It's a Florida sport. Riding out a hurricane, believe it or not.
No.
People love doing it. They run to the liquor store. They come up with a plan of attack as far as food. He has a generator. I mean, they really prepare. My uncle has a generator at his house.
You can prepare, but your house is sitting on cinder blocks.
But my uncle has hurricane windows. My dad lives in a trailer.
Right. That's
Will
what I'm
you
saying.
at least go over to your uncle's?
It's a 6-hour drive. 6.5, 7 hour
Take
drive.
that as a no.
But he's driving right along. The hurricane's still in that area. So no matter what, I mean, his safest route of travel would be go south, but that's toward Tampa. And he's an hour from Tampa. So either way, I mean,
Plus, it changed the name of the hurricanes. Hurricane Omar. He'd pack his S up and get the hell out of there.
Yeah. Where were you when you were told it was time to go or be evacuated? 206-803-ROCK.
Is your dad Florida man?
Definitely. I mean, he's got Busch Light Tall Boys in his refrigerator.
Right.
He eats grits for breakfast every morning.
What's it, right? Fishing in the afternoon?
Watches baseball every day. Watches the Rays. You know, it's his life.
That's what he does.
Yeah.
He's a legend out of coconuts.
Yeah. Well, not too far off. It's like, what is the name of that place? It's not Coconuts, but it's got that ring to it.
Right.
Hold on, let me look. I'll tell you what it is in a second.
By the way, a couple of quick texts here. Some good news. Good news, guys. For those of us in radio, we don't hit the EAS on 9/11. Country, under attack, doesn't matter.
Thankfully, there's good news.
Thank you, Alan Thicke, the ghost of. We even have his hologram.
Thankfully, there's good news.
Someone here says, hey, Thrill, they did use the EAS in Spokane, Washington, when Mount St. Helens erupted. I listen when I hear that noise. Good. I'm glad to know there is something catastrophic that can happen where we actually get around to using this thing that we test.
All right. So if you were to go to Hudson, Florida, here are the bars that you could go to. We have the Fisherman's Shack, Skinny's Bar and Grill, Sam's Beach Bar, the Dirty Mullet, the Drunken Duck, Primetime Sports Bar. Yeah, those are the basic ones.
That's it. That sounds about right.
Yeah, they're still open.
That's authentic Florida.
But when they do these evacuations, non-essential businesses must close.
Must close, right.
Yes.
Unless it's a Waffle House. That seems to be the only thing.
Well, yeah.
That is the indicator.
That
Yeah.
is. That is a true thing. A couple more texts. This goes back to tornadoes. Says, I grew up in Kansas playing Little League Baseball. One summer, we were at a game. I'm up to bat in a few, and it's like the fifth inning. Well, skies are blue when all of a sudden my mom grabs me from the dugout and says, we need to leave right now. As the wind starts to pick up, not 5 minutes later, we're in the car and the tornado sirens start going off. Apparently, she got a phone call from a friend a town over where the sirens had just started going off. It was all heading our way. Before those sirens went off, though, I was pretty mad at her for pulling me out of the game. Yeah, I can understand that. Mm-hmm. I've never been in a tornado situation. I've been close to where tornadoes are, but never like in their path.
I've had one in my backyard.
Any immediate danger. And that's right, you said that. Basically,
my neighbors.
Took out your neighbor's house.
Took out my neighbor's big tree, put the oak tree into my neighbor's roof. But fortunately, that was on top of his garage. If it would have gone into the house, right where his bedroom window was.
Yeah. That's what's crazy about tornadoes to me, right? So with a hurricane, it's not like you got worse damage than your neighbor. There's probably people in a 150-mile radius doing the same thing you are, right? Tornado, big-ass thing tears down the street, wipes out your neighbor's house. Somehow, your house is absolutely fine.
Yeah.
Right? It'll take out half of a school, but the other half still standing. And you can see like the scar mark on the ground where it does what it does.
I mean, it's pretty rare, but there was one that hit College Park, and I remember, I don't know, I must have heard it, well, probably on the radio or something.
Yeah.
But I definitely was like, I think, I don't know, in between a doorway or something with a mattress on top of me.
Yeah, so you're not, when you live in the northeast of the country, you're not prepared for tornadoes. And not that you want to deal with it in Alabama and Kansas, but you practice at it. They probably run drills in school and all that kind of thing. And then the idea of earthquakes on the East Coast was completely remote. And then we moved here 20 years ago. Mm-hmm. And they're like, yo, look, man, it's something you got to think about.
There's a plant in West Virginia. It's Union Carbide. And there's two in the world. There's one in West Virginia and there's one in India. And they would have to evacuate that town probably no less than once or twice a year based on something that was in the air. And it was always a chemical, and they always told you what the chemical was.
Like you know what it is.
You never heard of the chemical, but it's the same kind of crap that when a train derails bringing that chemical in from Ohio or wherever.
Right. You Kentucky, don't know what it is, just stay in the house.
They shut the town down if, one of those trains gets involved in a derailment or whatever, but they're all pretty well going to that chemical zone.
Right.
To drop that stuff off, and once a year, something would go wrong in the plant.
It's inevitable.
And they say, hey, which way is the wind blowing? And wherever that wind, get the hell out of there.
That's one of the terrifying things with trains, man. There was a story years ago, and this is why the EAS is supposed to be important for radio. But this train derailed one of the northern states, like Minnesota, Michigan, something like this. Anyway, small town is where it derailed, but it's carrying whatever it was carrying. It was bad. It may have been like hydrochloric something. I don't remember, but basically, you take a breath of this, you drop dead. Mm-hmm. Well, these radio stations, they were all automated. So there's nobody there, okay? So this train derails, and it derails in a little bit outside of a residential neighborhood, but like the one guy that doesn't get up super early in the morning for work, sees an orange cloud, knows it's not good, calls into the radio stations. Well, he doesn't know that nobody's there, right? All this corporate crap. They just don't spend money. So there's no one there. He can't reach anyone because radio was the first thing to let people know what's going on. So he calls like the police and fire department. Well, they show up. They don't know what it is. Firefighters start dropping like flies because they don't know that they're breathing in.
Right.
The cops start dropping like flies. By the time anyone recognizes what the problem is, several hundred people had already dropped dead. And again, this is a tiny, tiny town. So that'd be like 100,000 people in Seattle dropped dead, right? As per capita, it's like that. So believe it, after this whole thing went down, and this really wasn't that long ago in the scheme of things, that's when the FCC stepped in and said, look, man, you got to have at least one live person at the TV stations, at the radio stations, et cetera. I mean, it changed the laws because people died.
Where were you when you were told it was time to go or be evacuated? 206-803-ROCK.
Hello, Daniel. Welcome to the men's room.
Liquor and whores.
Liquor and whores.
Me, my girl, and my Johnson.
Girl and your Johnson.
That's right. I was circa 1988 is when I got the nice police send-off by the local Mukilteo Police Department. Not because of anything specific, but because of all of the different things that I was associated with causing trouble. And they wanted to make sure that I was actually indeed leaving town. They followed us in our U-Haul up and out of town for a good old send-off.
So how does this go down? Like you go to court and they're like, listen, we don't trust you anymore. Just leave.
Well, fortunately, there was no charges pressed on any of the incidents, plural. And so therefore, it was more of the unofficial, there was, I'd say 3-4 different times. They were partying out in the woods. We had multiple woods outside the apartment complex at one point in time to get us out and to try and enforce us not partying in the woods as teenagers on weekends. You know, we got our boom boxes, we got 40s and Mickeys and OE, and everybody's passing bowls around. We're all 16, you know, and stuff like that. They actually... I watched them do it. I knew what was on the trees outside the woods, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, there's a no trespassing sign. They just put the doggone thing up. I mean, literally, as we were partying out in the woods, they did that second. Then they came out and said, oh, yeah, you got to go. You know, trespassing. And then another time was catching us with some acid at 6 o'clock on a Sunday morning, you know, as we're all having fun out in the woods. Another time I dropped a piece of pot in front of the cop. And like I said, fortunately, no charges were pressed on any of the shenanigans.
But it sounds like a handshake deal. Like you leave town.
Just go.
And we're not gonna charge you with anything.
Pretty much. I mean, as we were going up the big Mukilteo Hill up towards Boeing, my mom had said, you know, they are making sure that you're getting out of town. See? And I looked in the rearview mirror, and sure enough, they followed us to the edge of the city limits.
How far away did you end up moving?
Out of state.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Coeur d'Alene. I moved over to Coeur d'Alene for a year.
Okay.
And then came back. There was another time, though, I was working at the Dairy Queen there in Mukilteo, and
you moved back to Mukilteo after a year.
I did.
What is it about Mukilteo that just keeps bringing you back? You can't escape.
My roots.
Okay.
Roots and my friends and stuff. But I was working at the Dairy Queen, and the police crime, yeah, right. Finished school too. You know, being able to go back and say hi to everyone was the biggest thing. But it was the police would swing by in Dairy Queen and have their lunch, and I was working there at that point in time, even though I was still in school. And so, I mean, I made a pretty mean, you know, bacon double cheese ultimate, and I'd made a couple of those. And there was a time that me and a buddy, we were, you know, out drinking, driving, and I got pulled over because I fishtailed in front of the cop, raining out, ass into the vehicle. It had, you know, gotten loose, and he pulled me over, and we had open containers, and he was one of the police officers I ended up, you know, serving lunch to regularly. And so he told me, he's like, you got two choices. You can take your beer, and you can, or I should say, you can keep your beer, and we'll take in and charge in for DUI, and or you can dump them out right here, put them in your trunk, and go home. So of course I chose B.
Yeah. It's probably smart. Anytime you get,
I don't know that any teenager has chosen A.
Yeah, that was my dad's thing about joining the Navy. You know, I just grew up knowing that he'd been in the Navy, and I was like, man, good for him. And then maybe 10 years ago, the story kind of comes out. I won't go through the entire thing, but essentially the police were like, son, you got two options. You can put your ass in jail for a couple of years, or you can join the military. And that's how my dad became a veteran. I'm like, dude, that's how you did it. By the way, Miles, before you continue, we got a text request. Someone said, I really want to know the menu at the Dirty Mullet. So I looked it up. Now, there's a couple things you need to know.
They got to have that little nut bar.
The Dirty Mullet in Florida. First, a few things. It says service options, outdoor seating, dine-in, delivery, false. I like that. Under amenities, what do you think their amenities are? Restroom, and they are done. Now,
looks like they got shrimp and chicken wings.
Now, wait, they got more than that, but understand, the menu is subject to change at any time without notice. It is basically printed out from a computer. They have all kinds of egg rolls, shredded chicken and buffalo sauce or mozzarella cheese, pepperoni slices, tomato sauce, mozzarella cheese, shredded chicken, honey barbecue sauce, mozzarella cheese, and for the healthy people out there, roasted broccoli, carrots, onions, zucchini, peppers, mozzarella cheese.
Okay.
That's what you're looking at the Dirty Mullet.
Where were you when you were told it was time to go or be evacuated? 206-803-ROCK. I did tell my dad I'd call him tomorrow morning to make sure he was still alive. He said, if I'm floating, I'll call you.
If I'm floating, I'll call you. Good on him. Hello, Katie. Welcome to the men's room.
Hi.
Hola.
Hola. So, I live at the base of the Boat Creek Fire.
Is that a famous fire?
No.
Okay.
No.
Wow,
Well,
okay,
you
well,
said, I'm sorry, the way you said it, I'm like, was it last summer?
I know, I'm going through my head like the Boat Creek
we
Fire.
know exactly where you live.
How many acres were taken down in this?
I think it was over 10,000 acres.
Jesus. Okay.
That's a lot. So that's pretty substantial.
But it was all on mountainside of mountains that are 5,000 feet tall. I live at the base of Grotto Mountain, and leaving for work that Saturday morning, I heard a weird noise behind me. I thought somebody was using a flamethrower at 7:30 in the morning.
That sounds like something they do in Grotto.
Why would you think it was a flamethrower?
Some people, but not in the middle of September. We're smarter than that. We like to think so.
Prove it.
You have flamethrowers. You're not telling. It doesn't say super smart.
Come over. I'll show you my flamethrower. What?
Do you really have a flamethrower?
I have a weed burner, yeah.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
I got you. All right.
That's probably the residential flamethrower.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
How close did the fire get to where you live? Because somebody texted in earlier, same town, so I assume it's probably the same fire. That's the only time I've heard of Grotto was today, and it's twice.
It's me.
Oh, that was you. Okay.
Yeah. I turned around and looked up at the mountain, and there was flames and a giant plume of smoke coming down on top of us.
Now, do you evacuate, or do you wait for them to ask you to evacuate?
Actually, officially, nobody told me to evacuate.
Oh, they wanted you to die, Katie. They told everyone else.
Well, it's unincorporated King County, so they'd rather we're just not there.
All right. Did your house burn?
No. Luckily, no homes were lost.
Okay. All right.
And that's thanks to all of the firefighters and the hot shots, because Grotto and Bering really would have been wiped out.
Are you saying there's a bunch of hot shots in Grotto?
Well, not anymore because the fire's out.
All right.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I guess they go where needed.
Okay. All right. Very good. Yeah.
So she's the one that texted it in. That makes more sense. I'm like, man.
That makes sense. You wouldn't know it.
Are you looking up Grotto?
I'm looking at it right now. That is. I mean, it's unincorporated King County, but that is tiny.
Where were you when you were told it was time to go or be evacuated? 206-803-ROCK.
For instance, you ever driven by Skycomish?
Sure.
That's like the next big town.
Oh, okay. That's where you go to do shopping.
Okay.
Stuff like that. Not even there.
Have you? Skycomish. I've only been there once. It is. Yeah. I think it's old logging and the railroads there. It was kind of sad.
Okay. Sad Skycomish. Hello, Ben. Welcome to the men's room.
Hola, bitches.
Hola.
So last year, my best friend and I went to Cabo, and we had a good old time. But one of our stops was, of course, Cabo Wabo, as you do, because we just wanted to.
Of course.
Honestly, I think you have to.
Yeah. Just walking around looking at the pictures on the walls, entertaining.
Yeah, it's law. I'm pretty sure that you have to go there if you're American. Now, the food was absolutely horrible, and this ties into the story. The food is garbage, but it was the best cover band we've ever seen. So we were having a good time either way. But my buddy went to the bathroom, and he had a pocket knife on him, just, because we're in downtown Cabo. And the security guard saw it and was like, hey, you can't have a knife in here. You got to leave. And he was like, wait, what? I can't have my pocket knife? It's just a little knife. And he was like, yep, you got to leave. So he came back to the table, and he's like, hey, bud, we got to go. We got to leave. Security told me that I can't have my knife. And I was like, what? That's silly. And he was like, yeah, see, look. And one of the big security guards was walking toward us at that moment. And I was like, dude, just sit down, be chill. We haven't had any problems so far tonight. They're not going to do anything. And sure enough, the security guard walked right past, kind of gave us a little eyeball, but it was a different guard than who had talked to him. And then after a couple minutes, I was just like, you know what, dude, these are the worst nachos I've ever had. This is the worst, taco. Worst taco I've ever had, dry as heck. Do you want to just dine and ditch? We're in our 30s. We've never done it. And he was like, sure. And so I got up to go to the bathroom, and he left after about a minute of me being in there. And I, did my business, washed my hands, walked past the security guard, and I was like, hey, man, you've done a really good job tonight. I saw you dealing with that drunk guy earlier. Good job. And he's like, thanks, dude. I high-fived him, high-fived another security guard, and walked straight out.
All right. Confidence goes a long way, doesn't it?
It really does, man.
Yes.
Change any situation.
Where were you when you were told it was time to go or be evacuated? 206-803-ROCK.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Whether you love true crime or comedy, celebrity interviews or news, you call the shots on what's in your podcast queue. And guess what? Now you can call them on your auto insurance too with the Name Your Price tool from Progressive. It works just the way it sounds. You tell Progressive how much you want to pay for car insurance, and they'll show you coverage options that fit your budget. Get your quote today at Progressive.com to join the over 28 million drivers who trust Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law.
You're working from home. You settle in with a cup of coffee, ready to get the day started. Before you look at that to-do list, turn on your favorite Odyssey sports station on your smart speaker. We'll keep you company and bring you the latest updates from your teams while you tackle your inbox or get ready for another meeting that probably could have been an email. Power through the workday with the entertaining sports coverage you love from the local voices you trust. Just ask your smart speaker to play your favorite station.
99.9 KISW. The men's room returns with Miles and Thrill.
Coming up, the return of Who Sucks Last right after emails on our question, where were you when you were told it was time to go or be evacuated? 206-803-ROCK.
Hello, Wade. Welcome to the men's room.
Uh-oh, look out.
Hola.
Hola. Now, the reason they say look out is, so just a little backstory. When I was growing up, me and my extended family, we used to go down to Mount St. Helens, deer hunting, elk hunting, fishing, camping, all that kind of stuff was my stepdad's kind of favorite area. And we were down there one year, and the Forest Service guy come into our camp spot, and he was like, yeah, you guys need to get out of here. There's activity on Mount St. Helens. And so, we bugged out. We got back home. This was in May of 1980, I believe it was. And we got home, and then like a couple days later, Mount St. Helens erupted. And even in Federal Way, I jumped on my BMX bike when I heard the news on the, TV or whatever, and I rode down to the end of our block, and I could just see this giant mushroom cloud. And go, holy cow, we weren't down there. We went back there, after the dust settled and everything, and just seeing the trees with the mud line, like 10 feet high.
Yeah.
In the forest, like along the highway and stuff. I mean, that thing wiped out everything for, miles.
Were you supposed to be there at that time? In other words, would you have still been camping on that day if you'd have stayed?
We may have been, but we took the Forest Service guys' advice and we got out of there. And, it's kind of a trip because, seeing that big mushroom cloud, it looked like a bomb, like an atomic bomb.
Sure.
And we got that onshore flow or whatever here. And so it was all blowing east. So it was, cool for us in Federal Way. But, my grandparents lived in Yakima. Boy, they got hit hard.
How long did it take for all that crap from Mount St. Helens to reach Yakima?
Like literally probably within an hour, I would say.
Yeah, but you think about some really good fertilizer. It's farm country. I'm just saying, you couldn't ask for better fertilizer once you sweep it off the streets and off your car and off your house and off everything else.
Right. So we made a trip over to my grandparents not too long after that. And my grandpa had a pile of ash in his backyard that was probably 5 feet high, 6 feet by 6 feet. And, one mountain's trash is another man's treasure. He used that ash to make sidewalks through his garden area and fruit trees.
That's actually kind of cool. That's very resourceful.
Wait, wasn't there a famous, old dude that lived on Mount St. Helens?
Refused to leave?
Yeah.
I think that was Harry Truman was his name.
All right,
yeah. That story.
He refused to leave, and then he died with that eruption.
But I believe, and I'm paraphrasing, but if it erupts, then I'm dying with it. This is my home. Yep. I'm not leaving. No matter what you tell me, this is where I'm staying. So how long did it take to convince your stepdad, right? Because I'm thinking, I'm out camping. I got my kids with me. We're doing all the things I enjoy. And telling me there's seismic activity, just knowing how I am, if I had not heard that previously, I'd have been like, dude, I'm going to go ahead and chance it. If you said there's 8 grizzly bears, that are rabid, I'd get the hell out of there.
But not only that, as far as your knowledge of volcanoes and how
we were out right away.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
And, well, how they're...
he was serious. I could tell by the look in his face. He's like, yeah, you guys need to go.
Because at that time you had a couple different... What you learned in school was, look, you have active volcanoes and you have dormant volcanoes.
Right.
So when you hear dormant, you just believe that that's an inactive volcano.
Right.
And that was what Mount St. Helens was. It was a dormant volcano, just like, Mount Rainier.
Anything,
dormant volcano. And that was the first questions that we had in school was, if it's a dormant volcano, then how did it blow? And our teacher was like, and I remember this, I don't know.
Oh, the teacher didn't know?
I don't know. Because we are teaching you that a dormant volcano is inactive.
We were just told, because we kind of had the same question, right? Because it's like dormant. And they explained, they said, there's another one called extinct. It's a dormant.
Oh, okay. All right.
Dormant is hibernating. You're just not quite sure when it's going to wake up. But when it does, it's going to be ugly. Active, you can figure it out. Yeah.
Speaking of Mount Rainier, too, my last job as a maintenance director, our medical facility was located right next to Puyallup River. And so part of my duties were to do new hire orientations for fire safety and disaster preparedness. And being located right there by Puyallup River, I mean, everybody knows it's pretty much scientifically proven that if Mount Rainier goes, it's going to take the path of least resistance, right? And it's going to come right down through Ording, Sumner, Puyallup, or whatnot. And I lived right next to the river, too. And so I always had that in the back of my mind, especially after going through the whole Mount St. Helens thing. I'm like, am I going to get enough warning? I know they got sirens and all that stuff, but I'm like, am I going to be able to get out in time?
I mean, those Laharas move quick.
Well, they see the bulges, normally a week out or 2 weeks out.
Usually,
or, they can kind of see a little bit of what is starting to happen.
Well, and I know what he's talking about. When I lived down in Sumner as well, we were right next to one of those rivers, and if it rained enough, like they were starting to bring out stuff to kind of keep the river out there from flooding the entire area. It's like that mountain goes off.
Didn't you have a moment where, just because of the rains, if I remember this, when you and your wife were living there, like you said, because you live kind of across the street-ish from it?
Yeah, we were right there in the same complex, and it never got to the point to where people needed to be evacuated, but it did get high enough, and I went out there a handful of times to look at it. The debris that was being washed down was horrifically incredible. Did
it get close to like that playground?
Playground.
I'm just remembering your old place, like looking at the giant rabbits. There was like a playground. I think the river was on like the other side.
Okay, so where that playground was actually within the complex. On the other side of those buildings is where that river was at, and it never got close there. But there was this big hilly berm that was built up there. I don't know if it was sandbagged and then just kind of mossed over or something like that. But they had a natural barrier that was there, and then they would actually, for like the walkway paths, they would bring out these big old inflatable, which I think they actually fill with water. To
keep it in place.
Yeah, right, to inflate and keep them in place there. So we weren't ever sandbagged there, but that river did get high enough to where after it had settled, we walked the dog, and there was a trail of leaves where the water line had clearly gone up and over the walking trail that was back there. And again, same thing. I wasn't thinking about the rain that was coming down. I'm thinking about if that mountain blows, this is going to completely wipe out everything that's down here. And I'm kind of the same as Wade. Like, am I going to get enough? Warning to be able to get out of here?
I'm going to be a pessimist and say no. Unless, like Miles says, so with Mount St. Helens, they're monitoring this thing, and you get your seismographs going off and all this. But then St. Helens, visually, they're like, it looks like a pregnant woman now. I mean, you can see this bulge growing, so there's no question. But I feel like if right near blue, I mean, how much time, even if you're blaring the sirens, right? Give you 10 minutes notice, maybe.
And there was one way to get out of that complex.
That's what
the road
I'm saying.
that I lived down, like there was no, hey, let's take the back way out. There was one road that you could get out there, and traffic in Sumner already sucked. Getting people out of there and evacuated, I was like, this is going to be an absolute massacre.
It's always the thing I wonder when you see, because you see the forest fires and all this kind of thing, anywhere in the country, and people are trying to evacuate. It's not people responding to the warning. It's that everyone did respond to the warning, and then it's 2-lane highway. No one's moving.
Right.
So,
they can't.
I don't know the answer is other than buy a helicopter.
Side note with Mount St. Helens there, it wasn't until, honestly, this year that my dumbass figured out that Harry Truman was not the former president that died up there.
Wait.
No.
Seriously, though. It didn't make sense to me either, but I was like, the guy's name is frickin' Harry Truman.
But you thought that
did
it
he
was...
retire to Chehalis, Washington, or
You
wherever
never
the hell?
thought, like, how is that not a bigger deal than a former president?
That's exactly what I
How
wanted.
is he still alive?
I mean, he'd have
Harry
been
Truman?
super old.
This is 1980.
Oh, I didn't look that deeply into it. It's Harry Truman,
Harry
man.
Truman, when did he die? In the 60s, the 50s?
I don't know. When would Mount St. Helens blow? 1981.
Yeah.
So you're thinking that a former president's like, I'm not leaving my cabin
How
in
is
the
he still alive
mountains.
at the time? I did wonder all that, but to be honest with you, I wondered it enough to be confused by it, but
If
not
they said
enough
the
to actually investigate.
Hamburglar, where you go like, there's only one Hamburglar, Obviously, this guy just has the name.
Were you flying over in an Abraham Lincoln
plane? Yeah.
All right, in Mike's defense, Harry Truman, the president, died in 72.
Yeah,
72.
Miles.
He was only
Okay.
off by 8 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, he was also 88.
He died because of a mountain, Ted.
Dude, look, I've heard the Harry Truman, the mountain guy. I think I must have heard it before, but somebody, as I was up by Mount Baker ski area, so somebody was relaying that story to me this weekend. And same thing, Mike. His name was Harry Truman. And they were like, yeah, dude, it's kind of famous. All right, whatever.
Remember I told you guys there was a bouncer who used to work at a bar that I used to frequent in Baltimore. His name was Benjamin Franklin.
Yep.
Yeah.
And the cops came in, he didn't have his ID, this whole thing went down. They take him down. He's a smart ass. He's getting roughed up a little bit. He's back in about 4 hours, just shaking his head. I swear to God. So about a month and a half ago, I'm reading about something that's going on in Baltimore in the neighborhood that this bar was. A little bit of a renaissance. But they go to this bar saying this place has been there for 500 years. And there's a quote from a dude, and I swear to God, Benjamin Franklin.
Same dude?
Same bar? Same bar, same dude. Now he's a bartender.
All right, all right.
He's probably my age or 5 years older, so it makes sense for this kind of place. But I'm just like, so I showed my wife, I'm like, this is the guy that I told you the story about that got roughed up by the cops because they thought he was being a jackass because they kept saying, what's your name? And he's like, Benjamin Franklin. Okay, wise guy.
Baltimore, also the place you don't move 4 blocks away from the time that you were born.
Nope. And again,
you stay in that general
keep in
vicinity.
mind, we moved here 20 years ago. I stopped going to the bar 10 years before that. So this guy has been a part of this bar. And this is not a glamorous bar. I get guys that work at a bar, like a nice steakhouse, like, and tips alone, I'm bringing home $72,000 a year. It's understood. This place is, like I said, there's heroin addicts in the back. The floor is sticky. People choose to pee outside as opposed to going to that bathroom because that bathroom is that gross. My man is still there.
Dude, I told you when I was, 19 or 20, I quit my job at that bar in College Park. There was a package store and a bar, right? And I'll never forget, like, the one manager, he's like, I just talked to the owner. He's not going to give you any of those Thursday, Friday shifts back for bartending. I said, okay, well, I'm going to quit. As I was walking out, I'll never forget, he goes, you're really going to regret this. Now, you fast forward till 2 years ago, right? We've been out here doing a radio show, having fun. I went in there. That guy was still working.
He's still there.
Did he remember you?
Barely. I had to really jog his memory. But they finally tore down that bar. So I'm like, I don't know. What do you do?
What are you going to do now?
He really regretted that.
Yeah.
Where were you when you were told it was time to go or be evacuated? 206-803-ROCK.
Hello, Ty. Welcome to the men's room.
Hola, bichola.
Hola.
So it was September of 92, and me and my ex-wife and mother-in-law were on vacation in Kauai, and spent a couple of days going around the island. It's not the biggest island out of all the islands, not a lot to see. But seen in the news, a hurricane was headed our way, and within a few days, Hurricane Iniki came, and it was the worst hurricane Hawaii had in over 100 years.
Did it seem like that as you experienced it?
Does what now?
Did it seem like that when you were experiencing the hurricane?
Oh, it was scary. Yeah, it was downright scary. It was just 2 weeks after Hurricane Andrew had hit Florida and turned all those mobile homes into, like, just trash everywhere, and people died, and we evacuated when we heard the sirens early in the morning, the end of the world sirens.
Where do you evacuate to on a tiny island?
South side of the island, probably.
We're about midway on the island on Kauai.
Okay. So is it just basically get away from the beach, I guess, would be the main thing?
I would say like the Waimea River, because that's going to flood from the canyon and all that stuff.
So is it get away from the beach? Is that the basic thing?
Yeah, we went a mile inland to get to a school that was fitted to be able to withstand stuff like that.
How many other people were jammed in the school with you?
Oh, there was a lot. It was scary. It was sad. There was an older lady that was next to us, and she used the restroom on herself because she was so scared, and it was crazy. And then my ex-wife, she was nuts, though. She had a video camera and was going up to the window and was filming a lot of the trees and the wind and things getting blown around. And then when we got back to Seattle, I used the footage that she filmed, and it was on Channel 4. Steve Poole, I knew him. He put it on there, and then Channel 11 had it too. So
how long did the hurricane last? How long were you stuck in the school?
We were there. We went. It was early in the morning when we evacuated, and then it was the next day. And it's funny. Ethnically, I've got one of those kind of looks that people look at me and say, I know you're something, but I don't know what it is.
Well,
half native and half
I'm a human. Yeah, I was going to say, that's safe for anyone.
So I learned real quick from the Hawaiians. They asked me, hey, are you local? I said, yeah, I'm local. And they just thought I was Hawaiian, and they let us leave and share condominiums and go back to where we were staying at.
All right. I mean, I'm with you. Look, I have a buddy, right? My old box coach, Rob. Like, he is of Mexican descent.
All right.
Right? But then he lived in England forever, and somebody in his family's English, so he has an English passport, right? And he says it all the time. He's like, I'm racially ambiguous, especially in Europe. He's like, when I go to Italy, he's like, people just speak Italian to me.
Oh, really?
He's got to look at him and be like, I don't speak Italian. And then, like, when he's in England, he could pop into, like, a Cockney accent, like, legit, and talk. So, like, yeah, it's just funny. People are never sure, like, I don't know what to do with you.
Yeah. Remember the first time you heard Lennox Lewis speak?
Oh, Lennox Lewis was shocking. The worst still is Idris Elba.
Yeah. Nobody, because every role
he was Stringer
did,
Bell.
right? Yeah. Every role was an American accent. You're like, brother's British.
Right. Guys like, hey, you tell him we're back up.
When my daughter last year taught in Spain, and she said, there's certain pockets of just of local anger, so to speak, as far as
name a country it doesn't have it, right?
Immigration, people like that. The people in Spain absolutely hate the people from Central America who end up there because they think that they are butchering the Spanish language. All right.
Okay.
Yeah. So
right.
they cannot stand that. So there's two groups of people that they absolutely are just they will talk to, like they turn their back on, like once they hear you speak. So her knowledge of Spanish was more of a Central American version of it.
Okay.
And she eventually started lisping everything and figuring it out. But at the time, it was as far as being able to pronounce.
Yeah, they probably hated her.
Exactly. Well, they're just like, look, we need to teach you real Spanish.
Pretend you're speaking Spanish, but you're Mike Tyson.
Pretty much.
Yeah. I mean, honest to God, right.
Whenever you see a S, it's a TH,
right.
All these things, So they I don't know.
Senor.
I don't know why there's a migration from Central America to Spain, but there is. And I don't know if it's working, having a job or whatever the deal is, but yeah, they're not.
Right, and then where Barcelona is, Catalonians, their language is a little bit different, and they are like, oh no, we're separate from the rest of Spain.
Yep. Where were you when you were told it was time to go or be evacuated? 206-803-ROCK.
Hello, Mark. Welcome to the men's room.
Liquor and whores.
Liquor and whores.
So this is back in September 9/11. I was stationed. I was teaching a class at Naval Station Everett, and we saw the initial planes hit the building, and we're kind of wondering what was going to happen. And then the command master chief came in and said, "Hey, you need to send all your students home back to their commands, and because we're going to shut down the base." So we did that, and me and the guy I was teaching with were cleaning up the class, and about 8 of my students came back. And we're like, hey, what's going on? And they're like, our ship left. And we're like, what? Yeah, our ship left. And we're like, okay, well, go back to your apartments. You don't understand. The ship is our house.
Oh.
So we had 6 guys and girls that basically got evacuated, but had no place to evacuate to. So, yeah, long story short, we had to figure out where we could, get a barracks room for them or, some type of hotel.
Where did the boat go? Or do you know?
Well, I do. So basically when natural disasters like in Hawaii, like if a hurricane or down in Florida, like in Mayport, they basically go out to sea and they go to like a muster area, or they try to outrun the storm. So, because, it's easier for them. They're more, stable out in the open ocean as opposed to next to the pier.
Okay. All right. Makes sense.
All right. Yeah. Well, yeah, that does make absolute sense.
Where were you when you were told it was time to go or evacuated? 206-803-ROCK.
Hello, Mike. Welcome to the men's room.
Hi. Hola, bitches.
Hola.
All right, so I wasn't told to evacuate, but every fiber in my body told me that I needed to evacuate. It was back in 2001, and working construction. We're in downtown Bellevue, and at the beginning of the job, we've got a hole that's the size of half a city block excavated down 70 feet, 80 feet. And in the middle of it is a tower crane. And I'm sitting up in the tower crane. And that is the time that the Nisqually earthquake hit.
Oh, boy. You were in a crane?
Yeah.
You were in a crane during an earthquake?
Nisqually earthquake.
Oh, my.
Sitting 300 feet in the air. The thing about it is, down on the ground, there was still earth, dirt equipment in there, excavators and roller. And I would feel the guy start the roller up every day, and when it vibrated, it would shake my whole crane. And so that's how I felt the earthquake. At first, I felt this shaking, and I thought the guy had just started the roller up. And then I felt this bang, like he ran right into my tower crane. And so I grabbed my radio, and I yelled down at my phone man, what is going on? And then all of a sudden, the whole crane started shaking and waving, and the boom started going up and down, and then I just yelled, earthquake!
And no one could hear you because you're in a bucket by yourself.
Well, but I was yelling it over the radio.
Okay.
So I told my guy, my phone man, I said, land it. So I crashed it down, he landed it, I sucked the hooks all the way up, killed the power on the crane, and I just started going down the tower. And every tower is 20 feet, and I would climb down like halfway and then jump, and all the way down. And when I got down, everybody on the job was in the center of the hole because everybody was worried about the walls caving in. So everybody kind of got together in the center of the hole. And the superintendent came over the radio, and he says, everything all right out there? Everything good? And everybody's like, yeah, everything's holding, everything's fine. He says, all right, somebody tell Mike he can get out of the crane. They're like, he's already on the ground.
How far do you think it was swaying back and forth?
It wasn't so much. Tower cranes sway back and forth all the time. This crane moved like I'd never felt or seen a crane move. The boom was bouncing up and down.
Jesus.
And they're not built for that. So it was very difficult.
Yeah. Time to
I
go.
always wondered what it would be like to be in a tower crane when it's been an earthquake, and I found out, and I don't ever want to have to deal with that again.
Okay, well, then you answer my question, and it's about what I thought. I don't want to be in a tower crane during an earthquake.
No. Coming up, the return of Who Sucks Less, and we've got your emails coming up next in the men's room at KISW.com.
What's up? It's your boy, the Ted Smith from the men's room. And did you know I have a podcast? Well, I do. The Podcast. New episodes uploaded every Wednesday on the Odyssey app.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Whether you love true crime or comedy, celebrity interviews or news, you call the shots on what's in your podcast queue. And guess what? Now you can call them on your auto insurance too with the Name Your Price tool from Progressive. It works just the way it sounds. You tell Progressive how much you want to pay for car insurance, and they'll show you coverage options that fit your budget. Get your quote today at Progressive.com to join the over 28 million drivers who trust Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law.
You're working from home. You settle in with a cup of coffee, ready to get the day started. Before you look at that to-do list, turn on your favorite Odyssey sports station on your smart speaker. We'll keep you company and bring you the latest updates from your teams while you tackle your inbox or get ready for another meeting that probably could have been an email. Power through the workday with the entertaining sports coverage you love from the local voices you trust. Just ask your smart speaker to play your favorite station.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Whether you love true crime or comedy, celebrity interviews or news, you call the shots on what's in your podcast queue. And guess what? Now you can call them on your auto insurance too with the Name Your Price tool from Progressive. It works just the way it sounds. You tell Progressive how much you want to pay for car insurance, and they'll show you coverage options that fit your budget. Get your quote today at Progressive.com to join the over 28 million drivers who trust Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law.
You're working from home. You settle in with a cup of coffee, ready to get the day started. Before you look at that to-do list, turn on your favorite Odyssey sports station on your smart speaker. We'll keep you company and bring you the latest updates from your teams while you tackle your inbox or get ready for another meeting that probably could have been an email. Power through the workday with the entertaining sports coverage you love from the local voices you trust. Just ask your smart speaker to play your favorite station. You're working from home. You settle in with a cup of coffee, ready to get the day started. Before you look at that to-do list, turn on your favorite Odyssey sports station on your smart speaker. We'll keep you company and bring you the latest updates from your teams while you tackle your inbox or get ready for another meeting that probably could have been an email. power through the workday with the entertaining sports coverage you love from the local voices you trust. Just ask your smart speaker to play your favorite station.
Are you looking for the powerful roar of a work truck, the quiet performance of an EV, or the creature comforts of a hybrid SUV? Whatever you need, the best place to see them, touch them, and drive them is at the Seattle International Auto Show, presented by BECU. Test drives, demonstrations, and information all under one roof. Live at Lumen Field Event Center, Thursday through Sunday, November 14 through 17. Discover your drive. For tickets and info, visit SeattleAutoShow.com today. Are you a bartender that dreads the phrase, "Hey, can you put the game on?" At Sports on What, we understand your pain and we're here to help. Over-the-air, satellite, cable, or streaming, Sports on What knows what channel the game is on, and you can too. Follow your favorite teams, set alerts, and filter by provider to get the results you need. Stop wasting time searching and never miss kickoff again. Just download the Sports on What app, and you'll always know how to watch the game. Available for Android and iOS. Start your 7-day free trial when you download Sports on What and subscribe today.
The debauchery rolls on. You're listening to The Men's Room with Miles and Thrill. 99.9 KISW.
Who Sucks Less is on the way the first time for a few emails from The Men's Room at KISW.com.
You've got mail. You've got mail.
One from our question, guys. Afternoon back in our hometown of Decatur, Illinois. 3 days of extremely bad weather, torrential rain, and 3 days of tornadoes. I'm standing outside watching the sky grow dark and darker. Then it turned a very eerie green, stormy sky that I'd never seen before. Sirens started going off all around us. We knew there was a tornado close, but I wanted to stand outside and look for it and take pictures. My wife, 2 daughters, and my mother, they were home with us. When the trees started to almost split from the wind and there was debris everywhere flying in the air, I sent my family to the basement, but I remained outside. Then debris started landing on my house. Then I decided it was time to go in to the basement. 45 minutes later, all calm, went to look outside. Trees down, power lines down, debris from the shopping center in our yard. I really just wanted to see the twister, but I knew it was time to go into cover. We all made it through the storm. That from the Elk Plain Drifter. As we move on to the birthdays, guys, happy birthday, Ken from Tacoma. Glad you did better than me. Love, Nikki, your birthday twin from Beat Miggs this morning. Call me. Dealer's choice there on the birthday wish.
Your girl and your Johnson.
Uh-oh, look out.
Please clap.
Now on the flip side. Guys, please wish our beautiful daughter, Nikki, a.k.a. DBFWV, a happy 35th revolution around the big yellow ball of gas. No need to worry about a spanking. She got one from Steve on Beat Miggs this morning. So proud of her accomplishments, especially raising a 13-year-old son on her own. She would love to hear an "oh, look out," an owl hitting the window, "your penis is too small," and the dirty Germans talking dirty. Thanks, guys. Love the show from Dad and JJ.
Uh-oh, look out.
Yeah, for your birthday tonight, what we're going to do, instead of going by Nikki, although to be Sticky Nikki when we are done, we're going to come up with our own reasons why they call you DBFWVP. I figured out at least 4 of the letters already.
Yeah, who was that from?
This one is from Mike.
Oh, all right. Yes. I wasn't sure, but that many letters means you pretty much DTF for anything.
Yeah, I was going to say that covers every thumbnail and every porn site.
Yeah, Jesus Christ, I don't even know if I'm into that.
That's why I didn't read the whole thing, because I was afraid I was going to get into trouble.
What are you piecing together there?
Something involving little people in West Virginia.
Here we see. My guess would be damn best friend.
With privileges?
I like where your head's at.
Without
privileges.
Gonads.
Without cone heads.
Gonads.
Oh, gonads. I think you nailed it. That's got to be.
Oh, Jesus. No. That's from her dad.
Oh,
God.
Well, he's got gonads in.
Yeah.
Yeah, all right. Okay. That's what I thought it said. Please wish our beautiful daughter, Nikki. All right. So then it doesn't mean it's something dirty.
We hope.
Sorry, Dad.
Yeah. Well, they wanted dirty. Aloha, Bicholas. Please wish my hardworking and handsome husband, Dennis, a very happy birthday. How about a fish sandwich montage, a little Johnson jingle, and the turtles having sex? Love the show, and sure do love him. Thanks, guys. That from Danielle.
Can I get
A filet of fish sandwich.
So you know I got
I'll have a fish sandwich.
Oh, brother, can I have a fish sandwich? Put the cheese and the tartar on the side.
I'll eat a fish sandwich.
Is it too early for a fish sandwich? Cheese and tartar on the side.
Yeah.
I smell the fish sandwich. Maybe some pure relish in the morning. At noon and at night.
Can I buy you a fish sandwich?
So you don't want a fish sandwich?
You, your girl, and your Johnson.
All right, guys. Here you go. Happy, happy, happy birthday. Happy, happy, happy birthday. Happy, happy, happy birthday to you, to you, to you.
Ya's a Dirty Germans brought to you by Men's Room Original Sausage. Available through Uli's World Famous Sausage, mensroomlive.com, and other fine retailers. Schweinefleisch.
Thank you, Mom. We've got a couple locations here where you can find the Men's Room IPA from Black Raven Brewing. Now available in over 1,300 locations in the Pacific Northwest.
That is insane to me.
You want here? It says, "Hola, my name is Holly." Hi, Holly.
Hi, Holly.
I run Whiskey West in West Seattle.
Oh.
You ever been to Whiskey West, Ted?
I have not, but I know VD. That's like his spot.
Yeah. That sounds like exactly where he would want to be, Whiskey West.
So we should thank him. He probably encouraged her to get it on.
It says, guys, we have the Men's Room IPA from Black Raven on draft. My rep suggested I contact you to let you know we have it. Personally, I'm asking if we could get a shout-out, mostly because I've listened to your show religiously for over 10 years.
Thank you.
And would love hearing my name on the radio. Ha, 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 ha. I remember when the first Men's Room Red came out, I went to try to find it. I don't even like beer. If you could do me this great solid, you would make me a very happy girl. Anytime you come in, your beer is on me. That from the lovely Holly.
We need to make it a point to get over there then.
Yeah, so anybody just walk in there, tell them you're a member of the Men's Room, say hi to Holly, maybe get a free beer.
If she finds out you're lying, you get charged twice as much.
Exactly.
Anybody ever,
what?
I feel like Thrall's a small advantage than most, but like, do people ever question you on it, Miles?
I don't really pull the card out.
Not that you pull it out, but sometimes it'll come up and people are like, you're not really them. And I'm like, yeah.
I had a brother reach out to me a couple of years ago. He's like, I am tall, I am black, I am tattooed, I am not you. But he went to some concert at a local club, not like T-Mobile or something. And he's like, dude, I got hooked up. And he's like,
But that guy used to also wear like a KSW shirt, because I did it to him one night.
But he said, because I said, look, man, I don't care. Just be decent to people. It's like, dude, I was as nice as could be because people kept buying me shots and stuff. He's like, that was great.
Yes. And one more for you. Men's Room IPA from Black Raven is available at Bob's Burgers and Brew in Puyallup.
Oh, nice.
Go Ravens. That from Brack.
All right.
Like Shaq. There's a Bob's Burger in town. Who knew that?
And Brew.
And Brews. Obviously.
There's a couple of them.
Yeah, I think it's a decent chain.
Yeah.
Okay. A decent burger.
Man, I really want to go, but the powers that be are keeping me from going.
Why is that?
The domestic powers that be.
Because the powers that be just don't feel like Bob's Burgers tonight.
Oh, I see. Okay.
It can't be every night.
I know.
Coming up, we will drink and toast with a shot of the day, but first.
Now, the Men's Room wants to know who sucks less?
Yay! Time for Who Sucks Less. Stephen Thrill Hill, you bring us 3 stories from the news each and every week. They all suck. It is up to us to determine, out of the 3 stories, which one sucks the least. Now, if you happen to like KISW on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, the debate is already underway on Who Sucks Less.
Yes, indeed. And let's just get to it. You might remember the story. I believe our very own Mike Hawk brought this one to us last week. But look, we're in week 3 of fantasy football season. And if anyone in your league is taking things too seriously, to the point where they're making international threats, you might need to find a new league. So a 25-year-old dude from Philadelphia named Matthew Gabriel, he pleaded guilty to 2 counts of interstate and foreign threats after he made false tips to police in the U.S. and overseas, claiming his rival was a threat. You see, it all started last year when the 2 men had some kind of fantasy football argument in a chat. Now, it's unclear if it was some heated banter that got out of hand or if they were hotly debating a waiver pickup or something, who knows. But Matthew knew the other guy was studying abroad in Norway. So he called the authorities there and made, quote, an anonymous tip that his rival was planning a mass shooting at a concert and a department store. Norway says they spent 900 hours of manpower investigating the case before they realized it was a hoax. Now, during that months-long investigation, Matthew did it again. This time, he emailed another fictitious threat, this time to the University of Iowa. And an account under another name, he claimed the same fantasy football group member was threatening to blow up the school. Naturally, the FBI was brought in to investigate, and Matthew was eventually charged. He's scheduled to be sentenced in January of next year. He faces a maximum penalty of 5 years in federal prison and a $250,000 fine. That's
crazy.
Dude, it's fantasy football, man. I mean, the worst thing we're going to have to do maybe is dress like a penis, but you don't call them bomb threats.
Was there a money thing involved?
I do not know. No one's even sure what the argument was about initially, but they play fantasy football together, and homie lost his mind. Now we move on, and let's see here. A police watchdog group is looking into claims by a student that he was assaulted by a police officer after being wrongly suspected of dealing drugs. This happened over in England. So closed-circuit television footage shows a 22-year-old man, who they're only naming as Samuel, being repeatedly struck by the officer while face down on the ground. He says he had stopped to give change to a homeless person when he saw a man in a hoodie running toward him. So Samuel, he began running away from the man, but says he stopped as soon as he heard the guy identify himself as a police officer. And footage, it shows the student slowing to a stop and turning to face the officer, who immediately slams him into a wooden fence and then tackles him to the ground. He then aims 3 blows into the side of Samuel's torso before another officer arrives and assists in handcuffing him. Now, in the video that was shared on social media, Samuel says he was beaten up, treated like an animal, despite complying with the officer, and he suffered bruised ribs and a bleeding knee. So he was taken to the police station and subjected to what they call an enhanced search before being released. In case you're wondering, he was told to strip down and squat in front of officers, see if anything was in his rectum, and he described the experience as degrading. So in case you were wondering, yeah, it does suck. The police department in Northamptonshire, they claimed the student was seen to exchange a package which was suspected to be related to potential drug supply offenses. But he was released with no further action following the negative search because, again, he was being charitable and simply handed a folded bill to a homeless guy on the street.
Oh, my God.
There you go. That's his situation. Now we go to the fine state of Virginia. And when I say the fine state of Virginia, I'm lying. So a Virginia elementary school photographer lost her job after being accused of making improper remarks to young students. But probably not the type of inappropriate questions you're thinking. The principal of Chittum Elementary School in Chesapeake Bridget's Outlaw, she said in an email that a photographer hired to take school pictures was escorted off campus for making inappropriate comments to students. Seems the photographer, who was not named by the school or the company officials, was employed by LifeTouch. That's a family and school photography service owned by Shutterfly. They've probably taken pictures of your kids, all right? Well, the parent, Rachel Field, she told a local news station that her son was sitting to have his school picture taken when the photographer asked him, quote, "Can I steal your identity?" Then she had a follow-up question, quote, "Can I eat your soul?" Oh. The mom says, quote, she asked him, "Can I steal your identity?" His response was just no. Her next question was, "Can I eat your soul?" And, he was expressing it to us that he was crying. He was very upset. And he said, no. Her next question was, "Well, then what can I eat?" And he said, "Mommy, I didn't know what to say." So I said the same first thing that came to mind. I said, you can eat noodles. You can eat noodles if you want to eat noodles. And, of course, the photographer's response was, quote, "Demons don't eat noodles."
Jesus.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on there. So the mother, who initially sounded the alarm about the remarks and a since privatized Facebook post, also thanked the elementary school for their swift response. They were like, as soon as they got word, they just said, okie dokie, maybe you should leave. So late last week, a Shutterfly spokesperson told the local news the photographer involved in the incident was no longer employed as a photographer by LifeTouch, and an internal investigation is underway. I mean, I guess if someone's going to make inappropriate remarks to my kids, I guess that's the best that they can do. Versus where your mind initially goes.
Yeah.
So again, we have the guy that called international bomb threats and all this based on his beef with a fantasy football player. We have the cops that
fantasy football foe,
yeah. We have the cops in England that ended up beating the piss out of this guy, put him through the search where he got to squat and try to poop out whatever you might have, only to find out that he was giving money to a homeless person And finally, the weird-ass photographer in Virginia who asked a small child, can I eat your soul? Kind of steal your identity? And when he said maybe eat some noodles, came back with, well, demons don't eat noodles.
How old was the kids he was harassing?
It's elementary school, so the oldest is 12 maybe. But I get the sense when you're saying mommy, that tells me you're probably single digit.
Okay. All right.
It's a weird day, man.
Yeah. I mean, the Philly guy with the fake threats.
Yeah.
Just based on manpower alone.
900 hours a normal.
That's not good because you're wasting a bunch of people's time who have a very important job to do. All right. The officer in England, he tackled, ran down, and beat down a 22-year-old for absolutely no reason. That involved physical violence, and then he was humiliated when he got to the prison.
He arrested him, too. Strip searched him.
Yeah. And the kid did comply. I mean, it was on the video.
Right. Yeah.
And to keep in mind, the cop, it was an undercover cop, so I don't know about you, but if I'm in the middle of the city and a dude charges toward me in a hoodie, it's going to be fight or flight.
Yes. Right? Yeah. And as far as photographers go, they're like magicians. Something weird's going on. Not all of them.
I don't believe that at all.
But
I don't believe that.
You never know. I mean, I've been to Olin Mills a few times, and the guy was just weird. That's because he wore a bow tie, which I thought was strange.
You can say that about radio. You got a guy ripped off foreskin masturbating and a dude that drove naked covered in baby oil and cocaine.
I totally agree.
And I agree with both of those things.
I totally agree. Like, no, we're in the same boat. But I'm going to say the photographer at the elementary school, he sucks the least.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, the cop that tackled the dude, then arrested him, strip searched him, all that stuff, like, that's the worst. Just because the guy's completely innocent.
Sure. You think that's worse than fantasy football, dude? I mean, look, man, I know what you're saying.
Look, the fantasy football guy ate up resources.
Yeah.
But, I mean...
But you're shutting down...
That 22-year-old guy in England, like, he could be traumatized by this.
Oh, I'm sure he was.
Yeah.
So can the fantasy football guy who now has an international incident on his record.
Yeah, but he did it.
Well, no, not that.
You mean the person
of
he
it
was
doesn't. But
correct.
I would think more like if I went to the University of Iowa, right? Because I was the second place. He said the guy there was a bomb threat or something. Like I'm a student there. I don't know either of these guys. I'm just trying to go to class or work off my hangover, and it's like, wait, I have to evacuate because of what? Calling my parents. My parents are.
Was there any reason they picked the school?
I think he just picked random places. That's the best I can tell, man. There's no rhyme or reason. Okay. The guy was overseas, so I don't know what the University of Iowa would have to do with it, but
yeah. Out with Miles. I don't know, man. I know a lot of photographers. Most of them are super cool, right? Mike, Matt, they're all dope.
Yeah.
But I feel like the guys that just do private stuff could be a little creepy.
Thank you.
And weird.
Yep.
It's like, and I feel bad for those kids because that's weird. You got to have that conversation.
That is weird.
But at the end, like, he was just being... Don't ask those questions.
Okay. Just weird.
Yeah. Debate continues on Who Sucks Less if you follow KISW on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Shot of the Day's coming up. You are listening to The Men's Room.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Whether you love true crime or comedy, celebrity interviews or news, you call the shots on what's in your podcast queue. And guess what? Now you can call them on your auto insurance too with the Name Your Price tool from Progressive. It works just the way it sounds. You tell Progressive how much you want to pay for car insurance, and they'll show you coverage options that fit your budget. Get your quote today at Progressive.com to join the over 28 million drivers who trust Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law.
You're working from home. You settle in with a cup of coffee, ready to get the day started. Before you look at that to-do list, turn on your favorite Odyssey sports station on your smart speaker. We'll keep you company and bring you the latest updates from your teams while you tackle your inbox or get ready for another meeting that probably could have been an email. Power through the workday with the entertaining sports coverage you love from the local voices you trust. Just ask your smart speaker to play your favorite station.
99.9 KISW. The shenanigans continue. This is the Men's Room with Miles and Thrill.
All right, Dakota and Minutes will drink and toast for the shot of the day. And we do have your headlines on the way at 5:50. But first, quick check on Mike Hawk and some of the stories and headlines he is not working on.
I like it. Thank you, Miles. New research has shown that women in more conservative areas that abstain from sex before marriage are more likely to engage in premarital anal intercourse.
Wait, who?
Women in more conservative areas that abstain from sex before marriage.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Because of the loophole. Which
that is an odd name for it. The loophole.
You would experiment in the loophole?
I've heard that so many times.
I will say.
Just because the thing is, like, we want to have sex, we can't have sex, but it's not technically sex. It is if we go back door. It's like, it's still sex. They have a name for it.
God's not big on loopholes. He's not big on technicality. Actually, no, you still did the bad. So if you're going to do the bad,
But,
always do the
but
bad.
all the dudes are like, shh.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, I went to Catholic school, so it wasn't unheard of. But I definitely knew a girl that was, she would do something else, but never had sex. But I mean, like, she did that. It's like the movie Clerks.
Yep.
No, she had a high number. Yeah. Somebody will get that reference point.
Exactly.
There was a high school in Baltimore. It's still there. It's Mercy High School. It's all girls, female. All female Catholic school. And when we got to high school, you did not interact with them much. But I do remember a buddy inviting me to a party. I'm like, man, I just don't know if I'm feeling it. He said the Mercy girls will be there. I'm like, I'll be there.
Cool.
I mean, it's just that is shooting fish in a barrel.
Right.
I mean, okay.
Well, that's why
wherever you want it to go, just let me know, man.
Right. I was literally talking about this Friday night because anytime I bring up going to an all-boys Catholic school, people always go, I could never do all boys. It's like, right. But you got to understand, for somebody like me, it like in a lot of us, it was like an advantage because when we showed up to those other parties on the weekends, and we didn't party with our sister school,
right?
We'd show up to the other co-ed schools, like we were like the hot commodity.
Sure. Yeah. You were the gaggle
I
right
understand
there.
what you're doing.
Yeah.
New data shows the top state in the U.S. for cocaine use.
Ooh,
Florida.
let me guess. Hold on.
Florida, Miles. Ted.
I mean, I would say California.
New Jersey, based on personal experience.
Back on top again, Colorado.
Really?
Huh. So apparently they held the record for a while there. They got dethroned by...
Do they have like top 5? Or is it just they're just telling you the
They did.
one?
You know what? Hang on one second.
I'm just curious because
to me, when you say Colorado, I'm not saying I don't think about drugs. I just think of marijuana and psychedelic mushrooms.
But also when I think of Colorado, there's nothing against Colorado, but whenever we have cocaine and people that do it on the regular, it's people getting things done, moving fast. Doesn't mean they're doing things they should be doing, but Florida, in its own way, kind of fast-paced. New Jersey is exceptionally fast-paced. California is California, but Colorado... Hey, man, we're chilling out.
I'm always shocked how laissez-faire the English are about it.
That's just their party drug, right? Like, oh, yeah, just do a little bump.
Going on vacation. Why not?
Dude, it's not even that. It's just like go to the pub, get some, Friday night, like get some pints. Like, should we get a bag?
Yeah, and it's not even something they really hide from their kids. It's more like, much like in the U.S., you tell your kids, hey, man, don't drink until a certain age.
Yeah.
You can't do a bump until you're at least 15. Come on.
Yeah, it's wild. When we look at,
we're dying to know.
I know. I'm the same way. I was like, what are the other states?
It's the second time in 3 years that they've topped the country. Let's see here. There we go. Okay. So according to this survey, your top ones, which they're using numbers from 2023 when Colorado was not on the top, but they got D.C. had the highest rate.
Yeah,
back in 2023.
come on.
Yeah, I wonder why that is.
Vermont.
Wow.
Or Vermont.
I never.
New York.
Yeah,
Okay,
I can see that.
Maryland.
Yeah, I can see that.
And Massachusetts.
I can see that.
However,
Vermont's the only one that kind of surprised, like D.C., like, yeah.
Any ideas, according to this study, on the bottom states? The lowest rates of
Utah.
cocaine use.
Wyoming.
Utah is the number 2. No, Idaho, Wyoming's not on there. Idaho is, by the way. Texas, number 1, the least cocaine use.
I can believe that, because they eat. I know that sounds stupid. No, but listen, cocaine is kind of an appetite suppressant. I'm telling you, you get to Alabama.
I hate cocaine.
Texas,
It makes me stop eating biscuits and gravy.
Louisiana. I mean, like, eating is culture, man. But I ain't doing that drug, not because I don't like it.
You don't enjoy fine Colorado cuisine?
I haven't.
Chaz, what do we eat in Colorado?
According to him, his wife's cooking.
Denver omelets.
Some of those states is too hot too.
Sure.
Yeah, that's a good point. Like, you don't need to sweat more when you're in Texas.
Doesn't stop him in Miami.
Yeah, they don't.
If his wife's cooking is half as good as her baking, she makes phenomenal food.
Her cookies were unreal.
Oh, my God.
What's a Texas breakfast?
Biscuits and gravy?
No, they don't do that.
Honest to God.
Breakfast tacos.
In my experience, now, I guess you can go to restaurants and find out, but since I have family there, I'm always staying with them. Your breakfast is leftovers from the night before, so you're eating more ribs, maybe you skip the potato salad, right? But seriously, but the meat the meat is your breakfast, and then they might make biscuits or grits to go with it. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
But your protein, for the most part, it's like, we still have 475 ribs
that
left.
would be great in an omelet.
Dude, I'm telling you, when I was in Austin, that's all everybody talks about is breakfast tacos, but it's usually brisket in the breakfast.
Brisket beef, barbecue sauce. Yes, sir.
I've never been to a place where people cook meat just all the time.
Have you guys had the barbecue tacos from downstairs yet?
I have. Ted was just going on about them.
Get here early enough. Get some of those.
Oh, yeah. I haven't had the breakfast ones. I get the regular ones.
Boy, get the breakfast ones. They're good. They're good. A concerning flatworm species is showing up in the southern U.S.
Is there a non-concerning flatworm species? I've never heard flatworm and then and they're awesome.
And they called it concerning.
Okay.
So
why is it concerning?
It's invasive. It's probably killing things that we like. I'm not working on it, man. I'm not looking at this stuff because you know why?
You should do this on national TV. And why is that, Mr. Hart? I don't know. It's killing stuff. It's invasive. What do you not like? It's doing that.
Tonight at 7 p.m., KISW airs its annual event known as I'm Listening, a program designed to remove the stigma associated with talking about mental health. That very program is captained by our very own VD, who painstakingly orchestrated most, if not all, of the elements of this event and captains the ship as it airs across the nation from Mission Control in New York City. In the midst of doing all that, he still finds time to give me a helping hand with the intros for the Men's Room Top 10, and seeing as it's National Psychotherapy Day, he did find a rather fitting topic.
The Men's Room Top 10. The Men's Room Top 10.
10 rewarding benefits of therapy. I've been in therapy for some time. Can't you tell by my rosy disposition? Let's just take a moment to say that therapy doesn't mean you're broken. It doesn't mean you're weak. It doesn't mean there's anything wrong with you at all. But it's a great source for finding tools to help you get through whatever it is you're going through. Maybe you can start by listening to our mental health and wellness conversation. I'm listening. Tonight at 7, right here on KISW. And since you're listening to this show, you know they all need professional help in so many areas of their lives.
I don't know what you're talking about, VD. I'm fine.
All right, full disclosure, I saw my therapist this morning.
Right.
He's going to need one. VD is... Think about the person in your family or the friend, the last person on earth that you know would be comfortable in Manhattan. VD is that guy.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, yeah. That's why I love it when he goes.
You know what he loves? Big crowds, large cities.
Being around lots of people.
That's right.
Hearing them.
Oh.
Being asked random things by strangers.
Right. Being stood next to.
Buying fake Rolexes from naked cowboys.
New York City, it's made for VD.
So these are the benefits of therapy. They give you a couple honorable mentions there. It's actually a list of 15. They talk that the benefits. You overcome past hurt or trauma, which you figure would truly help you there. Learning to handle your emotions, better mental health, improved physical health, and better productivity at work. So these are the benefits of therapy for those of you that might be on the fence. Alter negative behaviors. Like our thoughts, sometimes our behaviors become detrimental. They can keep us from living a positive and healthy lifestyle. Maybe you struggle with addiction, or you tend to self-sabotage, or there are other negative ways that you behave. Therapy can help you alter those behaviors that are having a negative impact on your world and relationships.
I will vouch for that. I always tell people, man, how'd you end up homeless? I'm like, it was 100% my own fault.
Right. I did stupid.
I had to correct myself when I was out there. They go like, all right, man, you figure it out.
You change your negative emotions and thought patterns. What we think, we manifest it. If you're consumed with negative emotions and negative thoughts that are interfering with your life, therapy can help. You learn to first identify what you're doing and then begin to retrain your brain to think about and approach situations differently. Anything from facing conflict to addressing your fears and breaking dysfunction in your relationships can be addressed through the therapy sessions. It works by changing negative thoughts and negative thought patterns.
That might also include, if you're a Ravens fan, their fourth quarter defense. I'm saying right now, that is the bane of my existence right now.
You know, and it's something that I
life is good, but life is good, and somehow the Ravens' fourth quarter defense, if there's one constant, like, negative filament in my life right now, it is that. If you say, dude, what are you mad about? Like, stuff happens every day.
Sure.
Most of it is what it is. Like, the Ravens defense.
But you channel it all in your hatred of the Ravens defense.
I do.
You ever had that blow up that's like, well, they didn't deserve all that. We're like, well, I'm getting some stuff out, okay? And they're on the other side of a TV screen. I don't care.
I mean, that's the problem sometimes with sports, right? Like, if you're bad for so long, then people stop caring.
Yeah.
Yep.
There you go. Benefits of therapy: stronger relationships. Therapy can help improve relationships by providing individuals with the tools to communicate more effectively, set healthy boundaries, and work through conflicts. Through therapy, you can gain insight into your own patterns of behavior and communication, which can lead to more fulfilling and satisfying relationships with friends, family, and romantic partners.
Yeah, I mean, especially romantic partners. My wife and I, we used to fight a lot. Then we got to the point we looked at each other and I said, are we going to get divorced over this? And if the answer is no, drop it. And you can still stew a little bit, but do not magnify this. Keep it, what it is.
Well, and you don't keep things hidden. You don't keep things buried down. If you've got a problem, I want to hear about it because either I'm going to tell you to go pound sand.
My
or
wife
I'm
must be seeing a therapist. She'll let me know quick.
It's tough too to know sometimes what nobody thinks they're doing the wrong thing. Right. Like, what's the old adage? Like, the hardest advice to take is to take your own advice.
Yep.
Right. It's easy to give it out.
You bet.
Yeah.
You bet.
Hell, if I took my own advice, I'd be a multimillionaire by now.
Learn to find healthy, positive support. Having the right support to get through those tough periods in life can be a game changer. If you have a difficult time finding a strong support system, you hate asking for help, or you tend to attract toxic relationships that don't add value to your life, therapy might actually be able to help. During mental health treatment, you can focus on changing the behaviors and thought patterns that you currently exhibit, which are likely contributing to any difficulties that you're having. Right. Find the support that you need. Somebody that might be able to guide you in certain ways that you didn't think about before.
Well, and problems too, right? Like, there's a famous book on this, right? Like, somebody could be like in a life or death situation. That's a very serious thing. Now, your issue might not be life or death, but to you, it's the only issue you have. So it's very serious.
Correct.
Right? Like, your brain kind of makes it.
On.
Yeah.
Right.
Sure.
And you know what? You're absolutely right. Too often we hide our issues with other people because, well, I'm not going through what you're going through. So I'm not going to complain to you about what I've got going on. But it's still the biggest issue that you've got going on in your life.
Correct.
Benefits of therapy. Developing coping skills and strategies. Having a plan of action is key if you want to face any of your mental health challenges head on. Mental health therapy teaches you how to develop strong coping skills and strategies. Armed with these coping strategies, you'll be able to offset things that are holding you back in your life. When you know how to positively and productively work through issues and problems, you'll be able to grow and overcome just about any of life challenges that stand in your way.
One of my favorites is just taking a walk or going to the gym. Then reevaluate. So just give my mind a little time.
Right.
And get some physical activity in. Then sit back down and start from square one again.
Amen. Amen.
That tends to clear my head to the point where I make a better decision.
Give your mind time to absorb the impact of whatever it is going on, and then now that you've had time to basically dissect it, now you can figure out how to beat it.
And the walk or whatever sometimes just takes the mind away from it.
100%.
Just like going to the gym, and then you have more of a clear mind.
Yeah. You can increase your self-awareness. Therapy is a great way for individuals to better understand themselves, including their emotion and mental health, life experiences, and overall behavior. Through self-reflection, you can discover how your own thoughts, emotions, and patterns may be preventing you from moving forward in life and leading to a healthier, happier lifestyle. We sabotage ourselves frequently.
I think most people sabotage themselves more than other people sabotage themselves.
Right.
I mean, I just think it's a human condition.
Shocking, therapy could help treat mental health conditions.
Well, I hope so.
It can be effective in treating a number of mental health conditions, including anxiety and depression, obsessive-compulsive disorder, and more. Putting your mental health first and getting the help that you need is a sign of strength and something to be proud of. Don't be embarrassed if you're asking for help.
Yeah. And some of the stuff, honestly, that happens to people is so traumatizing. Like, their mind just puts it somewhere deep. You don't even know.
Shut down.
You don't even know why. I'll use a lighter example, but you don't know why you hate pigs. You just hate them.
Right.
Right? Now, you might have been attacked by a pig when you were a child, and you just kind of left it out of your memory.
I get that.
Well, the other stuff's going to be horrible.
I know.
I'll go with you hate pigs.
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to bring you out of this with bacon therapy.
Screw those pigs. You learn to resolve conflict. If you find it challenging to successfully handle any type of conflict in your life, therapy can be beneficial. Working with a mental health professional, you can learn how to set healthy relationship boundaries, be direct with your needs, and confidently ask for things that you hope to get out of relationships and situations. Conflict resolution is an important skill for any person to learn, and the stronger you become, the better you'll be able to deal with many other aspects of your life. And then this is the final benefit here of seeing a therapist. Shocking. It can help you improve communication skills. It can help you with. It can help you learn how to have healthy, productive, and positive communication skills. Being able to effectively communicate in a healthy way means that you can successfully navigate virtually all areas of your life. Whether you tend to shy away from confrontation, get angry too quickly, or feel anxiety when you're having a direct conversation, therapy can help you gain the skills that you need to feel confident anytime that you're communicating with others. Sometimes people bury what it is that they feel for so long, because when they do finally talk about their feelings, it's too much for the people that they're talking to. They say it in a way that is embarrassing. They say that in a way that is not helpful, and it's not healthy enough to where the other person finds a way to communicate it back to them. This can help you find a way to properly tell people, I have a problem with what it is that you're doing.
And if you're on the other side, just listen. You're not going to have all the answers.
Right.
But just listen.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So there you go. Again, one more time, I'm Listening is going to be broadcast on these airwaves tonight at 7. You can also tune in on the Odyssey app. Take a listen to it. Let's remove the stigma of talking about mental health. A woman in Ireland had a horrible time at a friend's wedding, and I'll tell you all about it at 5:50 miles.
Thank you, sir. Headlines are coming at 5:50. In the meantime, let's get a contestant on the line for Profile This at 206-803-ROCK. All right, if we made it to Drag It Time.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Whether you love true crime or comedy, celebrity interviews or news, you call the shots on what's in your podcast queue. And guess what? Now you can call them on your auto insurance too, with the Name Your Price tool from Progressive. It works just the way it sounds. You tell Progressive how much you want to pay for car insurance, and they'll show you coverage options that fit your budget. Get your quote today at Progressive.com to join the over 28 million drivers who trust Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law.
You're working from home. You settle in with a cup of coffee, ready to get the day started. Before you look at that to-do list, turn on your favorite Odyssey sports station on your smart speaker. We'll keep you company and bring you the latest updates from your teams while you tackle your inbox or get ready for another meeting that probably could have been an email. Power through the workday with the entertaining sports coverage you love from the local voices you trust. Just ask your smart speaker to play your favorite station.
It's hard to be a good parent, but of all the things you're doing to better your child's future, few are as important as keeping their vision sharp. MySight One Day are the only contact lenses that can correct and help protect your growing child's blurry vision from getting worse. Because while their future may be unclear, their vision shouldn't be. Learn more at mysight.com. MySight today, anything tomorrow. Ask your eye care practitioner if your child is a candidate for MySight One Day and review important safety information at mysight.com/safety.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Whether you love true crime or comedy, celebrity interviews or news, you call the shots on what's in your podcast queue. And guess what? Now you can call them on your auto insurance too, with the Name Your Price tool from Progressive. It works just the way it sounds. You tell Progressive how much you want to pay for car insurance, and they'll show you coverage options that fit your budget. Get your quote today at Progressive.com to join the over 28 million drivers who trust Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law.
You're working from home. You settle in with a cup of coffee, ready to get the day started. Before you look at that to-do list, turn on your favorite Odyssey sports station on your smart speaker. We'll keep you company and bring you the latest updates from your teams while you tackle your inbox or get ready for another meeting that probably could have been an email. Power through the workday with the entertaining sports coverage you love from the local voices you trust. Just ask your smart speaker to play your favorite station.
The best thing about the Seattle International Auto Show is everything. It's the best place to turn questions into answers. Compare the newest models from major manufacturers. Gas power, hybrid, and EV, all under one roof. See them, touch them, drive them at the Seattle International Auto Show, presented by BECU. Live at Lumen Field Event Center, Thursday through Sunday, November 14th through 17th. Discover your drive. For tickets and info, visit SeattleAutoShow.com today. Hey, anyone know what channel the game's on? We know. Download the Sports on What app today and always know how to watch the game. Satellite, cable, or streaming. Sports on What knows the channel the game is on, and you can too. Subscribe today to start your 7-day free trial. Sports on What? We know.
Somebody out there deserves to be recognized. And the men's room knows just who it is. So to you, we say, bottoms up, sailor. You're the toast of our shot of the day.
Drink time it is, and as usual, we head to the drink desk and Stephen Thrillhill to find out who we're toasting. Yes, indeed, and today we toast Fanatics as in the global leader in licensed sports merchandise. Or a sports fan know it, the people who made my hat. Now, that said, it's not just hats. The folks at Fanatics, they make hats, jerseys, headwear, and hard goods for pretty much every major sport league in the country, as well as Nike and a handful of colleges and universities. And one of those teams is the Oakland, soon-to-be Sacramento, and then to be Las Vegas A's. So Fanatics, they offered A's fans the official, quote, new era green team Shadow 950 snapback hat. And it features the team's logos, 3 of them, a capital A followed by an apostrophe S, has 3 separate images crossing the front of the hat. And according to them, it's supposed to have a 3D effect. But the end result is that the hat very clearly and quite simply reads ass. And that is all it says. There's no...
What are the S's for?
It's the apostrophe S. So what they did...
Oh, they like trailing off A's.
Right. So they do if you're facing someone, you're facing them, the initial logo, A apostrophe S, is on the top left of the front of the cap.
Okay.
And then it trails down diagonally toward the bottom right. But the way they fade out, they don't fade the S's as much as they fade the A's, except one of the S's. So honest to God, and it's legitimate. You can order it. But when you look at the hat, it just says ass. And somehow
that times out perfectly.
That's kind of the point that everyone made. They said, look, we don't know if Fanatics did this on purpose. I believe they did, because there's no way you could look at this and not just see the word ass. But considering what's going on with the team, they feel like people in Oakland will probably buy it more than people anywhere else.
Last home game is tomorrow, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, at the Coliseum?
Yep. Then Sacramento next year, and then Vegas, I believe, the year after that. But if you can't, get yourself an ass hat. Let people know where you stand.
All right, yeah.
So we pour this booze, and we drink this booze. Thank you, Trung Lee, for sending that my way. Because we think it's yummy.
Yummy!
So over the tongue and down the throat to party in our tummies. Down the hola bitola.
The Men's Room presents Profile This.
And Stephen Thrillhill, could you please tell everyone how Profile This is played?
I sure can, Miles. It's a simple game where we share with you a real-life news story, something that happened right here on planet Earth. Earth. And as you listen to the story, based on the stereotypes you believe to be true of people and the decisions that people make, we'll ask you what it is you think makes the story a story. Hello, Devin. Welcome to the Men's Room.
Liquor and whores.
Liquor and whores. All right, Devin, you understand how this here game is played?
I do.
All right, well, you have your choice of 1 of 3 stories. Today, we offer you the category of Bite Me. In other words, what did someone find in their food? Interior decorating, where you guess the foreign object that ended up on the inside of someone. And today, our latest category, Seriously, where you guess the petty conflict that led to extreme violence.
Seriously?
I'm as mad as hell. I'm not going to take this anymore.
Sadly, a man is dead after a dispute turned violent at a Mexican restaurant in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Now, the argument reportedly began around 1:30 a.m. at Antojitos Mexicanos restaurant when one man insulted another over something. One witness said, quote, I heard that there was these 2 guys and they got into an argument. The other guy was kind of pissed off. The guy that got insulted pulled his weapon and started shooting the other guy. Now, the man who made the insult drew his weapon first, but the other man fired back. The witness continued, quote, the other guy was chasing him, shot after shot. It's just sad because this is a good neighborhood, never had blah, blah, blah. Anyway, local news flew over the scene as police were on the scene, putting up yellow tape and clearing the area as they began gathering evidence. According to the victim's brother, he spent the morning looking for him until he got a call from detectives that confirmed his suspicions that his brother was dead. Fort Lauderdale police, they confirmed the identity of the 54-year-old victim. The brother said, the only thing I can say is that I want the police to apprehend the suspect right now. There's nothing else we can do. Now, authorities, they're still investigating the shooting and are working to identify and find the gunman. The question is, what was the insult/argument that led to the shooting? Was it an insult about one of their shoes? Was it an insult about a song choice on a jukebox? Was it a shooting over a message on one of their T-shirts? Or finally, was it an insult about the girlfriend's breast size? So shoes, jukebox song, T-shirt message, or girlfriend's breast size. What was the insult that led to the ridiculousness?
Where'd you say this was at again?
This was in Fort Lauderdale, Florida.
Fort Lauderdale?
Yep.
Miles, what are you thinking? Well, I know you're thinking the breast size thing, obviously automatically, but
1:30.
I mean, it's 1:30 in the morning.
I'll go, Devin. I'll go girlfriend's breasts. I don't think it's insulting. I don't think I would say something insulting.
You might not.
Honestly, I'm going to go song choice. It's almost last call. People get fired up.
Okay.
That's the jukebox. Let's see. I'm going to go breast, too.
Breast
size.
Okay.
Yeah.
What led to this man being shot? Was it an argument over shoes, a song choice, a message on a T-shirt, or a comment about a girlfriend's breast? We'll find out next.
That was a tease.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Whether you love true crime or comedy, celebrity interviews or news, you call the shots on what's in your podcast queue. And guess what? Now you can call them on your auto insurance too with the Name Your Price tool from Progressive. It works just the way it sounds. You tell Progressive how much you want to pay for car insurance, and they'll show you coverage options that fit your budget. Get your quote today at Progressive.com to join the over 28 million drivers who trust Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law.
You're working from home. You settle in with a cup of coffee, ready to get the day started. Before you look at that to-do list, turn on your favorite Odyssey sports station on your smart speaker. We'll keep you company and bring you the latest updates from your teams while you tackle your inbox or get ready for another meeting that probably could have been an email. Power through the workday with the entertaining sports coverage you love from the local voices you trust. Just ask your smart speaker to play your favorite station.
99.9 KISW. We return to the men's room with Miles and Thrill.
Category is the brand new one. Seriously, on Profile This, guess the dumbass argument that caused a little bit of violence. In this case, a man is dead after an argument late night at a Mexican restaurant in Florida. Things obviously escalated. Question is, what was this argument about? Was it about someone's shoes, the choice of songs on the jukebox, a message on a T-shirt, or a girl's breasts, so to speak? A comment about this.
Yes, a comment about the woman's breast.
They're so tiny.
Look at them itty bitty things. And Devin, that is the question that we asked you.
Tiny mouth.
Speaking of a teeny tiny breast. You and Miles agreed had to be the boobs. It was not the breast size. Ted, you went with the jukebox.
Yeah.
Man got shot over the choice of song you put on the jukebox. And you are correct.
Oh,
what did he play?
Tell me they tell
They will not. That's the one thing I tried to find out. No one's offering that up. But yeah, that's how
the
someone
real
lost
story.
Their life.
That's the real story.
Well, also just because it's 1:30 a.m., so it's like I'm assuming it's last call. They're drunk.
Sure. Yeah. Still.
You play that one more time, I swear I'm going to shoot you.
Now, for all TV news all the time, it is time for TV Time with Ted.
And now, because your pathetic life is confined to countless hours in front of a talking box, the Men's Room presents TV Time with Ted.
All right, your choices today, of course, you got the Jimmys.
Fallon and Kimmel.
Stephen Colbert. Who am I forgetting? Oh, Ted Smith. Seth Meyers.
Or is it late night?
It's right there, the title. These guys have teams of talented writers. Help them come up with their monologues each and every night. It is up to you to determine, is this an actual late night joke and from whom, or could it be a The Ted Smith original?
It's completely brain farted right there. The National Toy Hall of Fame has its nominees this year for induction into the museum, while Dad's announced the finalists for That's Not a Toy Hall of Fame. First inductee, the thermostat.
Yeah. The Ted Smith.
Yeah, I'll say it you.
Seth Meyers.
The National Toy Hall of Fame last week announced this year's finalists for induction into the museum, while Dad's announced the finalists for the National That's Not a Toy Hall of Fame. First inductee, the thermostat.
I'd also like to add the sliding door.
Yeah. Yep. The electric window in the car.
The toilet.
I don't know if you guys saw this, but a police department in Massachusetts added an ice cream truck to its fleet. Yeah, it's called Freeze.
Come on, D-Ted Smith.
Fallon? Smith.
Yeah! That's a solid one.
Good work.
I did try to set it up like Fallon. Thank you. A fearless cat traveled 1,000 miles back to its owners in California after going missing in Yellowstone. That's amazing. And prove once and for all that cats stuck in trees could come down if they wanted to. They just love all the attention from the hot firefighters.
Colbert.
Yeah, that's Colbert.
A fearless cat traveled 1,000 miles back to its owner's home in California after going missing in Yellowstone. That is amazing. And it proves once and for all that those cats stuck in trees could come down if they wanted to. They just love all the attention from the hot firefighters.
The CEO of a company the company that makes Ozempic testified before Congress, and he was grilled over the drug's new high price. They were going to roast him, but grilling's healthier.
Fallon.
Yeah, Fallon.
That is Fallon.
Well, which one? Sorry.
Ozempic.
The CEO of the company that makes Ozempic testified before Congress, and he was grilled over the drug's high price. Yep, they were going to roast him, but grilling is healthier.
The Hershey Company has announced a new partnership with C4 Energy to release a candy-flavored energy drink. Congratulations, you invented soda.
Come on.
Myers? Seth.
The Hershey Company has announced a new partnership with C4 Energy to release candy-flavored energy drinks. Congratulations, you invented soda.
Now, if you ever watch, like, American Idol and stuff, like, American Idol, I think definitely part of it is the person going to be, are people going to like them?
Sure.
Right? Like, do they kind of, shouldn't say fit, but, like, do they look like a star? You know what I mean? It helps. Right?
It certainly does.
So one good thing about it was Britain's Got Talent. Now we have America's Got Talent. Is that they're just like, we're just looking for the talent. So I don't usually talk about the show a ton, but the guy that actually won it last night is a janitor. His name is Richard Goodow. He's in his 50s, and all he sang was classic rock.
The AGT champion and winner of $1 million is Richard Goodow!
That him?
Yeah.
Damn.
Right?
Journey's not generally a band you want to hear people do karaoke.
I know.
Because they're not going to hit it, right?
I'm telling. So he is a janitor, right? I mean, look, he just looks like a dude. Wears
like
a paperboy
yeah.
hat. You have to imagine, whether he boozes or not, that he must crush at the local karaoke.
Oh,
yes,
dude, he has to. Yeah. You know what I read today? I don't know who it was. So you win $1 million, which is awesome. But there's two ways you can get it. You can take basically the annuity like they do with the lottery, but it works out to about $300,000. But they give it to you in a lump sum, or they pay you $25,000 a year over 40 years. Even the lottery does $50,000 a year for 20. So they break it down $25,000 a year for 40 years. So if I'm him and he's in his 50s, like, just give me the $300,000. Give me the $300,000. So it's not like you win $1 million up front. You will get the $1 million, but keep in mind the $25,000 over the 40 years. That's pre-tax. So do you take the $300,000 up front? It's already been taxed, but this is what you get out of it, right? Because somehow $700,000 goes to people that aren't you. Or $25,000 a year, which is a fantastic supplement to anyone's income, but it has not been taxed yet. You should probably walk with $17,500.
Maybe California, because they're taking state, they're taking federal.
Maybe.
Man, that's a tough one, because generally I would take the payments over time, but 20 years is a while.
But 40.
Or 40 years.
Yeah.
That's a long time.
And you're getting about $18,000 a year. You know, if I were in my 20s, I would take that, because I know no matter what else I'm doing, because back then I'm broke. All the jobs are pretty low paying, right? For me, anyway, no college degree, nothing like that. So it'd be cool to know I'm at least going to bring home $18,000 a year.
I think you should do the smart thing. Take the 300 G's, go to Vegas, Walk up to a roulette table, put it all in black.
That is the very smart thing. That is the smart thing, yes.
Well, if you need any more money managing tips, my name's Ted Smith.
The Ted Smith, yes.
Do not come to me. Everybody in here like Key and Peele, right?
Oh, yeah. Sure.
So Michael Key, he was talking about basically, and they were together on Mad TV for 5 seasons, and then 2012 to 2015 on Key and Peele. Basically, he's just saying, we don't really see each other much anymore. Says he calls it tragedy. He says, your life start to evolve in a more different directions. Our evolution, I think, this is his quote, is tied to both of what our desires are. His desire was to start exploring the horror genre. Mm-hmm. My desire was to do more dramatic work like I've been trained in school.
That's fair.
They also add that, one lives in New York City and Peele's out in L.A.
But I bet you they would chop it up if they had the time and just got back together.
Well, dramatic work means New York.
For sure.
Horror genre means Los Angeles.
And I get it. And Jordan Peele's done great for himself. I don't know what Keegan-Michael Key's been doing, but Jordan Peele, he has his name on it. You understand what he's doing.
Isn't he also married to Chelsea Peretti, who probably...
I believe so.
...is doing all the L.A. stuff, too?
Yeah. Well,
and they had kids.
Yeah, and it's kind of crazy that, you just don't think about... To us, I think we always think about actors being actors, right? Mm-hmm. But it's like David Schwimmer, right? He had 1 or 2 movies, and then everybody's like, his career died. It's like, well, he's been behind the scenes doing stuff
Brothers
for years.
make him bank behind the scenes.
So you kind of forget, it's actors, for athletes, unfortunately, there is a finite end. Eventually there's just somebody younger and better than you are.
Yeah, of course.
But for actors, you can go on for years getting roles and stuff, but I think some of them just finally get to a point where it's like in sports, you go, all right, I'll start coaching, right? Or I'll be a, grad assistant, start out, blah, blah, blah. I think for some of those actors, they just get to a point where it's like, I'd rather just to direct these movies or produce them as opposed to starring in them all the time.
Ron Howard.
Yeah, depending how deep your artistic love is for the medium, I can see why you want to get behind the camera and control it. And also when you do that, depending how big of an actor you are, I don't have to deal with the tabloid nonsense. You read about yourself every once in a while, but people aren't following Ron Howard around. People don't follow around Steven Spielberg in spite of the fact, or James Cameron. You hear from them, but it's on their terms. And you go yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, look, there's some A-list actors who I'm sure they thoroughly enjoy doing films, but like Leonardo DiCaprio and Jack Nicklaus never struck me as dudes that hate being famous.
No. They take full advantage, and you go yeah.
Right.
But you still have to hear about... But you only heard the same things about both of them, right? I'm an A-list actor, and I'm crushing young ass. That is what you hear about me. You don't hear another thing. Maybe I did something charitable. Maybe I spoke somewhere. But overwhelmingly, it's not me getting drunk or doing drugs or any of the flashy stuff. It's you saw me on a beach in France on a yacht with a chick 1/3 my age in a bikini.
Yeah, and Jack Nicklaus, I always love that, he's just
Nicholson.
Or Nicholson.
I say the golfer, Jack Nicklaus. I'm like, I don't know, he's rolling in that circle.
R.I.P.
Oh, yeah.
The Golden Bear.
To the Golden Bear.
I always think that Jack Nicholson just was I'm this famous. I like the Lakers. Showtime Lakers were awesome. I'm going to sit courtside every game I can.
Hell yeah.
Plus, he's in L.A. I don't know. I'd be one of those people. If I had that kind of money and that kind of fame, you'd see me at all, sideline, Ted's on the sideline to the Seahawks game again. Shocking.
And Jack Nicklaus still alive.
The Golden Bear's still alive?
Yep.
Oh, God. Sorry, Jack.
Damn. I take back the Golden Bear.
Wait a minute, update.
Tell me I didn't buy all of them.
He's 84 years old.
Is Arnold Palmer still alive?
Oh, no.
R.I.P.
R.I.P. Hardy.
One
of the best drinks out there. I love an Arnold Palmer.
It is delicious. I know. And it cuts in there. Remember, when you add the vodka, it then becomes a John Daly.
John Daly. Yep. And if you drop cigarette butts in there, still called the John Daly.
Oh, no. Oh, God.
Last week I was talking about that new series on FX about Aaron Hernandez.
Yes.
2 new episodes came out last night. I have not watched them yet. I plan on watching them tonight. But also I wanted to mention, and listen, this is an old man TV recommendation. The show's...
Matlock. Matlock.
Came out in 2014, 2015. It's called Gunslingers.
Is this a documentary or is it a show?
It's one of those ones where they're kind of documentaries, but they have actors. Right, they have actors reenact it. And then, like, the historian will come on and go, well, that's what happened here and this and that. Like I was telling that story earlier about the one guy that's like, the mob, the lynch mob, you can't have them. I'll lynch him myself, but I'm the sheriff. It needs to be law and order in this town. And also, I don't know why I forget, but, like, for some reason, when I think of the Wild West, I always think of, like, cowboys in Texas and stuff, right? But you forget, like, New Mexico, Arizona.
That's where the S was going down, bro.
Right. Like, terrible. Like,
yeah.
Right. Like, where's Deadwood? That's Wyoming, right? Like, Deadwood is like, they're just
I think you're right. I think it is Wyoming.
Just
I think.
Ruthless and just like, yeah, there is no law here. Right. Like, Tombstone's super famous, but like, you watch that stuff on Deadwood, which was also a very good TV series.
South Dakota.
Yeah. And also, like, the history nerd in me likes how, like, the railroads come out. There's something there. There's a gold mine. You already kind of see it. But then they explain why these towns are so tough. It's like, look, a bunch of people went out to California in 49 for the original gold rush. So by the time you get to Deadwood and they find some gold and stuff there, you have these salty old miners who from California who did not get their money's worth, who now really don't care and just... Taking lives is just not a big deal, right? Like, the value of life is so low that it's just...
Versus gold.
Yeah, and it's wild when you watch that stuff. By the way, whatever shows you like, they're probably back tonight on TV. We're getting into that time of year. All the new series premieres. Masked Singer, Chicago Med, Chicago Fire, The Floor, Chicago PD.
It's all Chicago, all night.
It is. NBC was just like, we're going all in, just like
Chicago.
Oh, Chicago.
Thank you, Ted. We appreciate it. You're listening to The Men's Room.
Now, it's time to hit the headlines. Here's my cock.
That dog's name, Steve? Nina the Wiener.
Nina the Wiener. So I was just watching a video that shows a coyote snatching Tommy Lee, drummer of Motley Crue's dog, out of a pool and then trying to jump over a fence, but the dog is too fat for the coyote.
Nina the Wiener.
All right.
Our top story, we go to the lovely country of Ireland, where a wedding celebration turned into an emergency. After the ceremony went off without a hitch, the group was moved downstairs of the venue for the after party to get started and the reception. Everyone was having a great time until someone noticed that one of the young ladies at the reception was in a semi-conscious state and appeared to have suffered severe burns. Authorities were called and she was rushed to the hospital, where she underwent an emergency procedure before being taken into another hospital for further treatment. Doctors said that her condition and recovery were uncertain at the time the article was published, but they were treating it as a horrific accident, as they determined that while she was in the bathroom at the reception, her dress caught fire on the decorative candles.
Oh, man.
Wow. My first question was, what kind of dress was she wearing? 'Cause, people's clothes, they catch on fire. Right, and that's what I'm wondering. Did that stuff just turn to napalm on her skin and just sit there and burn the living tar out of her?
It's less like it bursts into flames, more like it like clings to you, right, and sears.
Right. And
I don't know.
that's the only thing I can think of. Because if it was just tulle, like, that thing's just going to go up. It's going to be scary. Probably going to suffer some burns.
It's like your hair, though.
But you're not going to need an emergency procedure. Right. This messed her up.
And you ruined someone's special day.
You really did. Way to make it about you, Brenda.
Yeah. I feel like Halloween parties, that's one of those few times where it's like, hey, like, do not light your bowl around me.
Yeah.
Like, I will go up in flames very quickly.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
In other news, the LAPD has found themselves in hot water once again after a pot raid went wrong. A local diagnostic center was raided by police after high energy use and an alleged odor of marijuana was detected. Don't know how they smelled that. Believing they were conducting an illegal grow operation inside. They detained an employee while they raided the building, with the employee saying that the whole operation was an unorganized circus. At one point, one of the officers went into an MRI room, ignoring signs that metal was prohibited within range of the machine because it's an MRI machine, and held his rifle loosely in his hand without a strap. Eventually, the rifle was sucked out of the officer's hand and stuck to the machine, prompting the officer to pull a sealed emergency shutoff switch, damaging the machine in the process and leaving a full magazine behind as he left. The facility has since filed a lawsuit with the department.
Well, part of the reason they use all that energy is because, well, it's a diagnostic center.
Right.
With an MRI machine.
I don't know what kind of information they got, but They need a better excuse.
I read that this morning. It's like your rifle flew out of your hand. I get what an MRI machine can do, but like maybe you should know that.
Come on, man. And just in case those stories have the bad taste in your mouth,
thankfully there's good news.
To New York for an incredibly tasty world record. At this year's annual Cream Cheese Festival event, officials sought to break a world record set all the way back in 2013. The world's largest cheesecake. Back in 2013, they set the standard with an impressive 6,900-pound cheesecake, but were undone by Russian enthusiasts who broke their record with a cake weighing 9,300 pounds.
I gotta ask, is this like you make 500 cheesecakes and then put them all together?
No.
Or is there an oven big enough that can bake this thing?
I think they manufacture equipment because not only do you need an oven, but then you need a refrigerator as well to help it set.
Yes.
So
I mean, that's possible because, look, seafood. They have seafood warehouses where that stuff stays frozen in Ballard.
Right.
I mean, you're walking into a freezer that's a warehouse. That's attainable. Where do you find the oven?
Where do you find that big old oven?
Yeah.
Armed with a go big or go home attitude, they destroyed that record by baking a 15,000-pound cheesecake.
Which goes back to Miles's question: How
in the hell?
I think that's fair. I think sometimes when they make the world's longest pizza, they just put a bunch of them together.
Oh, really? Okay. Yeah, I don't know, man. I mean,
it was documented by Guinness officials, and the townspeople did enjoy themselves a slice of history.
I mean, I guess if it's a Guinness World Record, maybe it has to be in one piece.
Right?
How did it taste, Mike? Did they say?
It tasted like ass.
I was going to say, it's really not that good.
Bedroom sports. The Mariners were not able to hold off the Astros in a dramatic 4-3 loss, putting the nail in the coffin in the race for the division. But the wild card race is still very much alive as the Mariners look to claim one of those last two spots up for grabs. Keep an eye on the scores of the Tigers, the Royals, and the Twin games, and hope against hope for losses with all of those teams. However, the Mariners finished up the series with Houston this afternoon and came up big with an 8-1 victory. They'll wrap up the season after the day off tomorrow with a 3-game series here at home against Oakland. That is the last series. They've got 3 games to make up basically 2.5. We've got to win out, and we need some losers there for the wild card race, but we can get this done. As far as playoffs are concerned, the same cannot be said for the Seattle Storm, who were swept by the Las Vegas Aces, unfortunately knocking them out of the playoffs. Well done, though, ladies. Way to put on a great year. Way to get back to the playoffs.
Hell yeah.
Well done, man. As far as your weather, be ready for some showers tonight, but it should dry up by tomorrow. We can expect some heavy cloud cover in the morning with more possible showers in the evening. Look for a high of about 67 for tomorrow. And that is it for your headlines. With that, Mike Hawk is on.
Thank you, sir. We appreciate it. I'm listening. Coming up at 7, spreading awareness about mental health and the message that talk saves lives. In the meantime, the lovely Jolene is up next.
Yes, indeed, it's all true. But in the meantime, well, we be all about this bitch. So until next time, please do what you do best. And for Aletha's sake, stay beautiful.
The Men's Room has been taped before a live studio audience. Wardrobe and makeup provided by Mantastic Limited. This has been a presentation of the Men's Room Radio Network. Oh, man! A Double Flush production.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Whether you love true crime or comedy, celebrity interviews or news, you call the shots on what's in your podcast queue. And guess what? Now you can call them on your auto insurance too with the Name Your Price tool from Progressive. It works just the way it sounds. You tell Progressive how much you want to pay for car insurance, and they'll show you coverage options that fit your budget. Get your quote today at Progressive.com to join the over 28 million drivers who trust Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law.
You're working from home. You settle in with a cup of coffee, ready to get the day started. Before you look at that to-do list, turn on your favorite Odyssey sports station on your smart speaker. We'll keep you company and bring you the latest updates from your teams while you tackle your inbox or get ready for another meeting that probably could have been an email. Power through the workday with the entertaining sports coverage you love from the local voices you trust. Just ask your smart speaker to play your favorite station.